Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the fast-paced modern world? Have you sought a sense of tranquility amidst the ceaseless chaos, a moment of clarity in the face of overwhelming uncertainty? What if I told you that there exists a path, an ancient way of life that can provide you with the tools to navigate the challenges of existence with equanimity and resilience? That path is Stoicism, a philosophy born in the bustling marketplaces of ancient Greece, yet as relevant and vital today as it was over 2 millennia ago. Tonight, you are not here by accident. You have been drawn to this space because your soul yearns for stillness, for a deeper understanding of life, and for a strength that is not dependent on the fragile certainties of the external world. Over the next few hours, as you prepare for rest, allow these words to be a gentle guide, a soothing balm for your mind. We will journey together into the heart of Stoicism, not as a dry academic exercise, but as a living, breathing practice. The teachings of the great sages who navigated empires, endured exile, and faced their own mortality with unshakable calm will become whispers of wisdom that accompany you into a deep and restorative sleep. You do not need to strive or struggle. You do not need to memorize every phrase. Simply listen. Let the rhythm of these words wash over you, cleansing your mind of the day's burdens, just as a gentle rain cleanses the dust from the world. This is not just a lesson. It is a refuge. It is a space to build your inner citadel, a fortress of serenity that no external storm can breach. We will explore the art of discerning what you can control, the power of transforming adversity, the freedom found in embracing impermanence, and the profound joy of living a life of virtue. So take a deep, slow breath. Let your body relax. Let your shoulders drop and allow your mind to become open and receptive. You are about to embark on a journey inward, a journey toward a more resilient, peaceful, and unbreakable version of yourself. Let us begin. The very first cornerstone of a resilient and peaceful life, a truth the ancient masters returned to again and again, is the profound art of discerning what is within your control from what is not. This may sound simple, almost deceptively so, yet within this single principle lies the key to unlocking a universe of inner freedom. Imagine for a moment that you are a sailor, captain of your own vessel on the vast, unpredictable ocean of life. The weather, the direction of the wind, the size of the waves, and the currents that pull beneath the surface, these are the external circumstances of your existence. You cannot command the storm to cease, nor can you bid the wind to blow in your favor. To attempt to do so would be an act of utter futility, a source of endless frustration and exhaustion. A wise sailor does not fight the sea. Instead, the wise sailor focuses with unwavering attention on the things they can control: the rudder that steers the ship, the set of the sails that catches the wind, and the calm clarity of their own mind that makes the decisions. Your life is this vessel. The external world, with its chaotic events, the opinions of others, the whims of fortune, and the passage of time, is the vast ocean. Your inner world, your judgments, your beliefs, your choices, your actions, and your attitude, is the rudder and the sails. The great sages of the past taught that most of our suffering arises not from the events themselves, but from our desperate attempts to control the uncontrollable. We suffer when we resist the natural flow of life, when we become enraged by a storm we cannot quell, when we are wounded by a wave we cannot stop. We exhaust our precious energy fighting battles that were never ours to win. Think of the things that have caused you anxiety this week. A comment from a colleague, a political headline, the traffic on your way home, the uncertainty of a future event. How many of these were truly within your power to change? And how much peace was sacrificed in the internal struggle against them? The moment you truly internalize this dichotomy of control, something miraculous happens. You release an immense burden you did not even realize you were carrying. You stop fighting the ocean and start mastering your ship. Your focus shifts from the external chaos to your internal sanctuary. When faced with a challenge, you can ask yourself this simple, powerful question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, if it concerns the actions of another, a past event, or a future outcome you cannot guarantee, then your task is to practice acceptance. It is to let go with grace, to recognize that your peace does not depend on changing the unchangeable. But if the answer is yes, if it concerns your own response, your effort, your attitude, your next action, then that is where you pour all of your focus, all of your energy, all of your will. This is not about passivity. It is about strategic wisdom. It is about conserving your strength for the battles that truly matter, the ones fought on the battlefield of your own soul. Tonight, as you rest, let this idea seep into the deepest parts of your being. Visualize yourself as that wise sailor. Feel the unnecessary tension in your body release as you let go of the need to control the wind and the waves. Feel your mind become clear and calm as you take firm hold of the rudder of your own will. You cannot control everything that happens in the world, but you always have absolute power over your mind and your response. That is your true freedom, a freedom that no one and no circumstance can ever take from you. Rest in this power, rest in this freedom. That is the silent strength that builds as you sleep, lesson after lesson, until it becomes the very foundation of who you are. Now that we have anchored ourselves in the wisdom of control, let us venture deeper into the heart of Stoic resilience by exploring the nature of perception. An ancient teacher who once was a slave and later advised emperors taught a timeless truth. We are not disturbed by events, but by the views we take of them. This is a revolutionary idea, for it shifts the source of our turmoil from the external world to the internal landscape of our own mind. It suggests that the world in itself is neutral. Events are simply events. It is the story we tell ourselves about them, the judgment we attach, the label we apply, that gives them the power to either uplift us or cast us down. Imagine your mind is a clear, calm lake. An event happens. A stone is thrown into the water. The stone itself is just a stone. The splash is just a splash. But it is the ripples that follow, the distortions on the surface, that obscure the clarity of the lake. These ripples are our judgments, our interpretations, our emotional reactions. A single event, losing a job for instance, can be interpreted in a multitude of ways. One person might see it as a catastrophe, a confirmation of their failure, a source of paralyzing fear. Their mind becomes a stormy, turbulent sea. Another person, applying this ancient wisdom, might see the very same event as an opportunity, a chance to pursue a new path, a call to reevaluate their passions, a moment to learn and grow. The event is the same. The interpretation is what creates the heaven or hell within. The practice of objective representation, or seeing things without our emotional coloring, is a powerful tool for building this resilience. It is the art of stripping away the subjective layers of judgment and seeing the bare facts of a situation. When you feel a surge of anger, anxiety, or despair, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is the objective fact here, and what is the story I am adding to it? A friend does not return your call. The objective fact is just that. A call was not returned. The story you might add is, they are ignoring me. I have done something wrong. I am not important to them. These stories, these interpretations, are the source of the pain, not the event itself. By practicing this mental discipline, you create a crucial space between the stimulus and your response. In that space lies your freedom. In that space, you have the power to choose. You can choose to be swept away by the initial tide of emotion, or you can choose to observe the event with a calm and rational mind, deciding on a response that is aligned with your values and your peace. This does not mean you become an unfeeling robot. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience. The goal is not to suppress them, but to understand them and not be enslaved by them. It is to be the master of your inner world, not its victim. You can acknowledge a feeling of disappointment or sadness without letting it define your entire reality. You can feel the sting of criticism without letting it dismantle your self-worth. You are the sky, and your emotions are the weather. The weather changes, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, but the sky remains vast, calm, and undisturbed. Tonight, as your body finds rest and your mind begins to quiet, practice this gentle art of observation. If a worrisome thought appears, do not fight it. Do not cling to it. Simply label it. This is a thought. If a feeling of sadness arises, observe it without judgment. This is a feeling. By doing this, you are detaching from the content of your mind and connecting with the silent, aware presence that you are. You are the calm lake beneath the ripples, the serene sky behind the clouds. This is your inner citadel, your fortress of peace. And by learning to see the world through a clearer, more objective lens, you strengthen its walls, making it an unassailable sanctuary, a place of profound and enduring resilience. Having learned to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, and to see the world with objective clarity, we now arrive at a principle that forms the very heart of the Stoic path, the unwavering pursuit of virtue. In our modern world, we are often taught to chase external markers of success: wealth, status, fame, and pleasure. We are told that these are the things that will bring us happiness. But the ancient philosophers offered a radical and ultimately more fulfilling alternative. They taught that the only true good, the only thing of intrinsic and unshakable value, is virtue. But what is virtue? In the Stoic sense, it is not a rigid or pious moral code. It is excellence of character. It is the art of living a rational, ethical, and harmonious life. The sages broke it down into 4 cardinal virtues that act as a compass for navigating existence: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are not just abstract ideals. They are active, practical skills that can be cultivated every single day, in every single action. Let us first consider wisdom. This is the master virtue, the ability to discern what is good, what is bad, and what is indifferent. It is the knowledge of how to live well. In our daily lives, wisdom is what allows us to make sound judgments, to see situations clearly, and to respond with clarity rather than confusion. It is the voice of reason that guides us through the noise of fleeting emotions and societal pressures. It is about understanding the deeper nature of things and acting in accordance with that understanding. Next, we have courage. This is not just the absence of fear or physical bravery in the face of danger. Stoic courage is moral fortitude. It is the strength to face adversity with a calm and steady mind. It is the courage to speak the truth, even when it is difficult. It is the resilience to endure hardship without breaking. It is the determination to stand by your principles, even when the world pushes you to compromise. Every time you choose to face a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it, every time you persist in a challenging task, you are practicing the virtue of courage. Then there is justice. This virtue extends beyond the legal system. It is about fairness, integrity, and kindness in our dealings with others. The Stoics believe that we are all part of a single, universal community, a cosmic city. Justice, therefore, is our duty to act for the common good, to treat others with respect and empathy, and to recognize our shared humanity. Every act of kindness, every fair decision, every moment of compassion is an expression of justice. It is the recognition that our own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the whole. Finally, we have temperance. This is the virtue of self-control, moderation, and discipline. It is the ability to master our desires and impulses rather than being enslaved by them. In a world that constantly tempts us with instant gratification and excess, temperance is a revolutionary act. It is choosing long-term well-being over short-term pleasure. It is the discipline to avoid what is harmful and to embrace what is beneficial for our body, mind, and soul. Every time you choose a healthy meal over an unhealthy one, every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you respond with calm instead of reacting with anger, you are strengthening the muscle of temperance. Why is virtue the highest good? Because unlike wealth, health, or reputation, virtue is entirely within our control. Fortune can take away your possessions, illness can take away your health, but no one can take away your character, your wisdom, your courage, your integrity. These are your true treasures. A life focused on cultivating virtue is a life of profound stability and inner peace. Your happiness is no longer dependent on the unpredictable whims of the external world. It is built on the solid, unshakable foundation of your own character. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, let these 4 virtues be your guides. Let your subconscious mind absorb their meaning. Wisdom, courage, justice, temperance. You don't need to be perfect. The path of virtue is a lifelong practice, a journey of continuous improvement. Every day offers a new opportunity to be a little wiser, a little braver, a little fairer, a little more disciplined. Rest now in the quiet knowledge that you are building a wealth that can never be lost, a fortress that can never be breached, a life of true and lasting value. In our journey toward a resilient life, we must now confront a topic that modern society often prefers to keep hidden in the shadows: our own mortality. The ancient sages, however, did not shy away from this fundamental truth. In fact, they embraced it as one of the most powerful tools for living a vibrant, meaningful, and virtuous life. They had a practice, a meditation, which they called memento mori. Remember that you must die. This may sound morbid or depressing, but to the Stoics, it was the opposite. It was a catalyst for joy, a source of clarity, and a call to authentic living. By keeping the reality of death in mind, they were able to strip away the non-essential and focus on what truly mattered. Imagine you are walking through a bustling market. your senses overwhelmed by the sights, sounds, and smells. You are distracted by trivial desires, caught up in minor disputes, worried about unimportant matters. Now, imagine a wise guide gently taps you on the shoulder and whispers, "Remember, your time here is limited." In an instant, your perspective shifts. The trivialities fade away. The petty grievances seem insignificant. What comes into sharp focus is the preciousness of the moment, the importance of your relationships, the urgency of living your true purpose. This is the power of memento mori. It acts as a filter, helping you to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, between the noise of daily life and the silent call of your soul. When you remember that you are going to die, you become less likely to waste your time on things that do not matter. You stop postponing your happiness, waiting for a perfect future that is never guaranteed. You start to live more fully in the present, for the present is all you truly have. A wise emperor who ruled a vast empire wrote in his private journal, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He used this thought not to paralyze himself with fear, but to motivate himself to act with virtue, integrity, and purpose in every single moment. He knew that the awareness of death gives life its true value. Contemplating our mortality also has a profound effect on our relationships. It encourages us to forgive more easily, to love more deeply, and to express our appreciation for the people in our lives. When you remember that you and your loved ones are here for only a short time, you are less likely to hold on to grudges or let disputes fester. You are more inclined to cherish the time you have together, to be present, and to connect from the heart. Furthermore, the practice of memento mori cultivates humility. It reminds us that for all our achievements, possessions, and status, we are all subject to the same universal law. It puts our ego in its place and connects us to our shared humanity. It helps us to see beyond our individual concerns and to appreciate the grand, mysterious dance of existence. This practice is not about dwelling on death in a negative way. It is about using the awareness of death to live a better life. You can practice it in simple ways. When you wake up in the morning, take a moment to be grateful for a new day, a gift that is not guaranteed. When you face a difficult decision, ask yourself, if this were my last day, what would I choose? When you feel yourself getting caught up in trivial anxieties, gently remind yourself of the bigger picture. Tonight, as you lie in the quiet darkness, let this ancient wisdom bring you not fear, but peace. Let the awareness of your fleeting existence wash away your worries and fill you with a profound sense of gratitude. You are alive. You have this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. That is a miracle. Do not take it for granted. By remembering that you must die, you learn, paradoxically, how to truly live. You learn to embrace each day as a precious gift, to live with purpose, to love with abandon, and to find joy in the simple, profound act of being. Rest now, with this truth held gently in your heart. From the sobering reminder of our mortality, we now turn to a concept that may seem its perfect opposite, yet is born from the same deep acceptance of reality. Amor fati, a love of one's fate. This is perhaps one of the most challenging and yet most liberating principles in all of philosophy. It is the practice of not just accepting everything that happens in your life, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the painful, but of loving it, of seeing it all as necessary, as essential threads in the unique and intricate tapestry of your existence. An influential thinker who endured great personal suffering and yet championed this idea, taught that we should want nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This is not a call for passive resignation. It is an active, fiery embrace of life in its totality. It is to say yes to every moment, to every experience, knowing that it all contributes to who you are and who you are becoming. Imagine your life as a great work of art, a sculpture that is being carved from the raw block of existence. Some of the sculptor's tools are gentle, polishing, and refining. These are the moments of joy, success, and love. Other tools are sharp and forceful, chipping away at the stone. These are the moments of adversity, loss, and pain. We tend to wish for only the gentle tools to resist the chisel and the hammer. But a master sculptor knows that both are necessary to reveal the masterpiece within. The deep cuts, the seemingly harsh blows, are what give the sculpture its depth, its character, its unique beauty. Amor fati is the ability to look at the entire process, the polishing and the chipping, and to love it all, to see the necessity and beauty in every mark. When you practice amor fati, you stop fighting with reality. You cease the exhausting internal war of what if and if only. You no longer waste your energy lamenting the past or fearing the future. Instead, you channel that energy into the present moment, into living with courage and purpose, whatever the circumstances may be. This does not mean you don't feel pain. It does not mean you don't grieve loss. It means you experience these emotions fully, but you do not let them define you as a victim. You see the pain as a teacher, the loss as a catalyst for growth, the challenge as a forge for your character. You learn to find the opportunity within the obstacle, the strength within the struggle, the gift within the grief. How can one cultivate such a powerful mindset? It begins with a shift in perspective. When faced with a difficult situation, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Or, "How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, more compassionate?" See every event not as a judgment on your worth, but as a neutral component of your path. See it as your fate, your unique curriculum designed for the growth of your soul. This is your path, and every twist and turn belongs to you. To love your fate is to love yourself, to accept and honor your entire journey, with all its triumphs and all its stumbles. It is the ultimate act of self-acceptance. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, reflect on the path you have traveled. Think of the challenges you have overcome, the lessons you have learned, the ways in which adversity has shaped you into the person you are today. Can you find a thread of gratitude for even the difficult parts? Can you see how they were necessary? Let go of any resistance you may be holding. Embrace it all. Whisper to the universe and to yourself, "Yes, this is my life, and I love it, all of it." In this radical acceptance, you will find a peace that is unshakable, a joy that is not dependent on circumstances, and a freedom that is absolute. This is the profound gift of amor fati. Rest in that love tonight. Let us now elevate our perspective, moving from the intimate love of our own fate to a broader, more expansive view of our place in the universe. The ancient philosophers understood the importance of perspective in managing our daily anxieties and finding a sense of calm amidst the chaos. They developed a powerful mental exercise known as the view from above, a practice that involves imagining yourself rising up, looking down upon your own life, your city, your country, and the entire earth from a cosmic vantage point. Imagine yourself floating gently, effortlessly, up from where you are lying now. You see the room, the building, the neighborhood below. You continue to rise and you see the entire city a tapestry of lights and shadows, of countless lives unfolding simultaneously. You rise higher still, and you see the contours of the land, the mountains, the rivers, the coastlines. Your continent becomes visible, a piece in the great puzzle of the world. Now, the earth itself comes into view, a beautiful, swirling marble of blue and white, suspended in the silent, infinite darkness of space. From this cosmic perspective, look back at your own life. See your home, your workplace, your daily routines. See the things that cause you stress, the worries that occupy your mind, the conflicts that seem so overwhelming. From this great height, how do they appear? The argument you had yesterday, the deadline you are facing tomorrow, the social slight you experienced last week, from the vantage point of the stars, they shrink in significance. They become what they truly are, small, fleeting moments in the vast, ancient expanse of time and space. The purpose of this exercise is not to diminish the importance of your life or to encourage a sense of nihilism. It is to gain perspective. It is to see your problems within a larger context, which often has the immediate effect of reducing their emotional weight. The things that seem all-consuming up close can become manageable, even insignificant, when viewed from above. A great thinker who ruled an empire often practiced this meditation to remind himself of the impermanence and relative smallness of human affairs. He wrote, "Think of the substance of all things, of which you have a very small part, and of the time of all things, of which a short and indivisible interval has been assigned to you, and of the works of fate, of which you are so small a part." This practice cultivates a sense of humility and awe. It reminds us that we are part of something much, much larger than our individual egos and concerns. It helps us to let go of our attachments to trivial matters and to focus on what is truly essential, living with virtue, connecting with others, and appreciating the beauty and mystery of existence. The view from above also fosters a sense of interconnectedness, a concept the sages called sympathia. From that cosmic height, the borders that divide us, the differences that separate us, all dissolve. You see one planet, one human family, all sharing the same fragile home, all subject to the same universal laws of birth, life, and death. This perspective can dissolve feelings of anger, resentment, and otherness, replacing them with a sense of compassion and universal kinship. You can practice this visualization anytime you feel overwhelmed by stress, anxiety, or anger. It takes only a few moments to close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and allow your mind to soar. It is a powerful antidote to the narrow, self-absorbed perspective that so often traps us in cycles of suffering. Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, allow your consciousness to expand. Feel yourself becoming lighter, rising above the concerns of your day. See your life as part of a grand, cosmic drama, a beautiful and fleeting dance. From this place of serene detachment, offer a sense of peace to yourself and to all the other souls sharing this journey on our small blue planet. Rest in the vastness, in the stillness, in the profound peace that comes from seeing the bigger picture. From the expansive view of the cosmos, let us gently return our focus to the inner world, to the quality of our relationships, not just with others, but with the most important person in our lives, ourselves. A wise teacher of the past, when asked what progress he had made, replied, "I have begun to be a friend to myself." This simple statement holds a universe of wisdom. For many of us, the inner dialogue we maintain is far from friendly. We are our own harshest critics, our most unforgiving judges. We replay our mistakes, berate ourselves for our shortcomings, and hold ourselves to impossible standards. We would never speak to a dear friend the way we often speak to ourselves. Stoicism, at its heart, is a philosophy of self-care and self-improvement. It teaches us that before we can be a good friend to others, a good citizen, or a good human being, we must first learn to be a good friend to ourselves. What does it mean to be a friend to yourself? It means treating yourself with the same compassion, patience, and understanding that you would offer to someone you love. It means accepting your imperfections, not as signs of failure, but as part of your human journey. It means forgiving yourself for your mistakes and seeing them as opportunities to learn and grow. It means celebrating your small victories and being a source of encouragement when you face setbacks. Friendship with oneself is built on self-awareness. It requires us to listen to our inner world with an attentive and non-judgmental ear. What are your fears, your hopes, your desires? What are the stories you tell yourself? Are they stories that empower you or stories that limit you? A good friend listens without judgment and helps you to see yourself more clearly. You can do this for yourself through practices like journaling or quiet reflection. Being a friend to yourself also means taking care of your well-being, mind, body, and soul. It means ensuring you get enough rest, nourishing your body with healthy food, moving in ways that bring you joy, and feeding your mind with wisdom and beauty. It means setting healthy boundaries, saying no to things that drain your energy, and making time for activities that replenish your spirit. This is not selfishness. It is a prerequisite for a healthy and virtuous life. An ancient sage once taught that a person who is a friend to himself can never be truly alone. This is a profound truth. When you cultivate a rich and compassionate inner life, you carry a source of comfort, wisdom, and companionship within you at all times. You are less dependent on external validation or the presence of others to feel whole and at peace. Your own company becomes a sanctuary. This inner friendship is the foundation for all other healthy relationships. When you love and accept yourself, you are better able to love and accept others. When you are not seeking validation from the outside, you can connect with people from a place of authenticity and generosity, not from a place of need. You can offer true friendship because you have it within yourself. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, I invite you to make a gentle commitment to be a better friend to yourself. When a critical thought arises, can you meet it with a voice of compassion? When you think of a mistake you made, can you offer yourself forgiveness? Can you take a moment to acknowledge your own strength, your own resilience, your own efforts? Place a hand over your heart, and in the silence, you might simply say to yourself, I am here. I am with you. I am on your side. Let this be the beginning of a lifelong friendship, the most important one you will ever have. In the warmth of this self-compassion, may you find deep and peaceful rest. Let us now explore a concept that may seem paradoxical in a philosophy that so highly values virtue and justice: the practice of indifference. To the modern ear, indifference can sound cold, apathetic, or uncaring. But in the Stoic tradition, indifference, or apatheia, is a powerful and strategic tool for cultivating inner peace and focusing on what truly matters. It is not about a lack of feeling, but about a wise and discerning allocation of our emotional energy. The sages of old made a crucial distinction between things that are good, things that are bad, and things that are indifferent. For them, the only true good was virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, temperance, and the only true bad was vice, the opposite of these virtues. Everything else, health, wealth, reputation, pain, pleasure, life and death, they classified as indifference. This does not mean that they thought these things had no value. They distinguished between preferred indifference, like health and wealth, and dispreferred indifference, like sickness and poverty. It is natural to prefer health over sickness, but the Stoic insight is that neither of these things can make you a good or bad person. They do not affect your character, your capacity for virtue, which is the only true measure of a good life. Why is this distinction so important for resilience? Because most of our emotional turmoil comes from our attachment to these indifferent things. We are devastated when we lose wealth, terrified when we face illness, and elated when we receive praise, because we have mistakenly labeled these things as ultimate goods or evils. We have staked our happiness on things that are, by their very nature, fleeting and outside of our complete control. The practice of Stoic indifference is the art of unhooking our well-being from these external, indifferent things. It is to cultivate a mindset where you can say, I prefer to be healthy, but if I am sick, I can still be virtuous. I can still be courageous, patient, and wise. My character remains intact. It is to say, I prefer to be wealthy, but if I lose my fortune, I have not lost my true self, my integrity, my relationships, my inner peace. These are my real treasures. This is an incredibly empowering perspective. It makes your happiness and sense of worth invulnerable. It builds an inner citadel that cannot be breached by the changing winds of fortune. You can fully engage with life, pursue your goals, enjoy your successes, but you are not shattered when things do not go your way. Your core is unshaken. Imagine a skilled archer. The archer does everything in their power to shoot the arrow well. They control their stance, their breath, their aim, their release. That is their virtue. But once the arrow leaves the bow, the outcome is no longer entirely in their control. A sudden gust of wind, a movement of the target, these are external factors. The wise archer focuses on the process, on shooting well, and accepts the outcome with equanimity. They are indifferent to whether the arrow hits the bullseye because they know they have done their part virtuously. This is how we should approach our lives. We should strive for our goals, work with diligence and integrity, but we must practice indifference to the outcomes, which are often influenced by factors beyond our control. This is not apathy. It is the freedom to act with excellence without the paralyzing fear of failure or the desperate craving for success. Tonight, as you rest, reflect on the things you are attached to. What external things do you believe are essential for your happiness? Your job, your social status, a particular relationship? Now, gently imagine letting go of your attachment to them. Imagine finding a source of peace and contentment that is independent of these things, a source that resides within your own character. This is the practice of Stoic indifference. It is a path to a deep, stable, and resilient peace. Rest in the knowledge that your true worth is not in what you have, but in who you are. As we continue to build our inner fortress, let us consider the architecture of our daily lives. A resilient mind is not forged in grand, heroic moments, but in the small, consistent habits of our everyday existence. The ancient philosophers were firm believers in the power of routine and ritual, not as rigid constraints, but as a supportive structure for a virtuous and tranquil life. They understood that a well-ordered day leads to a well-ordered mind. Two of the most powerful rituals they practiced were the morning and evening reflections. These practices act as bookends to the day, creating a space for intention, awareness, and growth. Let us first explore the morning ritual. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of waking up and immediately being consumed by the digital deluge of emails, news, and social media, the Stoic practice is to start the day with intention and mental preparation. This can be a quiet period of just a few minutes, a sacred time for yourself before the world rushes in. During this time, you can practice what the sages called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This is not a pessimistic exercise in worrying. It is a pragmatic and empowering visualization. You calmly think about the challenges you might face during the day: a difficult colleague, an unexpected obstacle, a moment of frustration. You imagine yourself facing these challenges not with anger or anxiety, but with the Stoic virtues, with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You rehearse your ideal response. By doing this, you are mentally preparing yourself. You are building a psychological armor. When challenges do arise, as they inevitably will, you are not caught off guard. You have already faced them in your mind and are ready to respond with equanimity and grace. You can also use this morning time to set your intention for the day. You might ask yourself, how can I be a better person today? How can I practice virtue in my actions? What is the most important thing for me to focus on? This connects you to your deeper values and provides a clear compass to guide you through the day's decisions. It shifts your focus from merely getting through the day to living the day with purpose. This morning ritual is a powerful act of self-mastery. It is a declaration that you are the conscious author of your day, not a passive reactor to its events. Now, let us turn to the evening review. Just as you begin the day with intention, it is equally important to end it with reflection. Before you drift off to sleep, take a few quiet moments to review your day. This is not a time for harsh self-judgment or regret. It is a gentle, honest accounting, done with the compassion of a good friend. A wise teacher of old would ask himself 3 questions each night. What bad habit did I curb today? What fault did I resist? In what way am I a better person? You can adapt these questions for yourself. Where did I act in alignment with my values today? Where did I fall short? What did I learn from my experiences? What am I grateful for? This practice of evening reflection is incredibly valuable for several reasons. Firstly, it promotes self-awareness. You become a keen observer of your own patterns of thought and behavior. Secondly, it accelerates your growth. By acknowledging your mistakes without shame, you can learn from them and make a conscious plan to do better tomorrow. And thirdly, it cultivates gratitude. By actively looking for the good in your day, you train your mind to see the abundance in your life, which is a powerful antidote to anxiety and dissatisfaction. Together, the morning and evening rituals create a powerful cycle of intention, action, and reflection. They transform your days from a series of random events into a conscious practice of living well. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, perhaps you can begin this practice. Gently ask yourself, what is one thing I am grateful for from this day? What is one thing I learned? Let this simple reflection be a peaceful and clarifying end to your day. And know that with each morning's intention and each evening's review, you are not just living your life, you are crafting your soul. In our modern pursuit of a good life, the concept of wealth often looms large, defined almost exclusively in terms of money, possessions, and assets. We are conditioned to believe that more is better, and that our happiness and security are directly proportional to the size of our bank account. The ancient philosophers, however, offered a far more profound and enduring definition of wealth. They taught that while material resources have their place, True wealth is the richness of the soul, a treasure built from virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. They understood that a person could be a king and yet be a miserable slave to their desires, while another could be a humble artisan and possess the immeasurable wealth of a tranquil mind. This Stoic perspective on wealth is not an argument for poverty or a condemnation of material success. It is a reordering of priorities. It is about understanding that external things are preferred indifference. It is preferable to have them, but our well-being should not be fundamentally dependent on them. The true riches, the ones that cannot be lost to a market crash, a thief, or the passage of time, are the qualities of our character. Imagine two individuals. One has immense material wealth, a large house, expensive cars, a vast portfolio, yet their mind is in constant turmoil. They are plagued by anxiety about losing their wealth, consumed by envy of those who have more, and their relationships are shallow, built on status rather than genuine connection. They are, in the Stoic sense, deeply impoverished. Now imagine another individual with modest means. They live simply, but their mind is at peace. They have cultivated strong, loving relationships. They face life's challenges with courage and equanimity. They find joy in simple pleasures and live with a sense of purpose and integrity. This person, by the standards of the ancient sages, is truly wealthy. The pursuit of inner wealth is a far more reliable and fulfilling endeavor than the pursuit of external riches. Why? Because it is entirely within your control. You have the power to cultivate your wisdom, to strengthen your courage, to act with justice, and to practice temperance, regardless of your external circumstances. This is the ultimate form of self-reliance. This does not mean you should neglect your financial well-being. A wise person is prudent and responsible with their resources. They work diligently, save for the future, and avoid foolish risks. But they do so without anxiety or attachment. They see money as a tool, a means to live a good life, to support their loved ones, and to contribute to the common good, but not as the goal itself. They know that the most valuable things in life, love, friendship, wisdom, peace, cannot be bought. How can we begin to cultivate this true wealth? It starts with a conscious shift in our values. We can make a deliberate choice to prioritize our inner growth over our external accumulation. We can dedicate time each day to learning, to reflection, to practices that strengthen our character. We can measure our success not by our net worth, but by our integrity, not by our possessions, but by our peace of mind. We can practice gratitude for what we have rather than constantly craving what we don't. This is the path to an abundance that is deep, stable, and truly your own. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, let go of the world's narrow definition of wealth. Release the pressure to accumulate and achieve. Instead, turn your attention inward to the quiet, fertile ground of your own soul. That is where the real treasure lies. Know that every act of kindness, every moment of courage, every choice for wisdom is a deposit into an account that yields infinite returns. You are building a wealth that will sustain you through any storm, a richness that will illuminate your entire life. Rest now in the profound security of this inner abundance. In our exploration of the Stoic path to a resilient life, we must make a crucial distinction between joy and pleasure. Our modern culture often uses these terms interchangeably and relentlessly promotes the pursuit of pleasure as the primary route to happiness. We are bombarded with messages that suggest a good life is one filled with constant stimulation, sensory delights, and the avoidance of any discomfort. The ancient philosophers, however, saw a profound difference between these two states. They taught that a life dedicated solely to the pursuit of pleasure is a fragile and ultimately unfulfilling one, for pleasure is, by its nature, fleeting, external, and often leads to a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. True, enduring happiness, they argued, is found in joy, a state of deep contentment and well-being that arises from within, from a life lived with virtue and purpose. Pleasure is often tied to external stimuli, a delicious meal, a new purchase, a flattering compliment. These things can certainly be enjoyable, and the Stoics were not against enjoying them. The danger lies in becoming dependent on them for our happiness. When our well-being is staked on these external, fleeting things, we are in a precarious position. The meal ends, the novelty of the purchase wears off, the compliments cease. And then what? We are left seeking the next hit of pleasure, caught in an endless loop, a chase that can never be won. This is what one sage called the hedonic treadmill. We run and run, but our baseline level of happiness remains the same. Joy, on the other hand, is not an emotion that comes and goes with external events. It is a deeper state of being. It is the quiet, steady satisfaction that comes from knowing you are living a good life in alignment with your values. It is the peace of mind that comes from a clear conscience. It is the fulfillment that arises from personal growth, meaningful relationships, and contributing to something larger than yourself. This kind of joy is not dependent on circumstances. A person can experience joy even in the midst of difficulty. A person facing a serious illness can still find joy in the love of their family. A person enduring a professional setback can still find joy in their own integrity and resilience. This is because joy is a product of our inner world, of our character, which, as we have learned, is the one thing that is truly within our control. A life of virtue, the Stoics taught, is a life of joy. When you practice wisdom, you experience the joy of clarity and understanding. When you practice courage, you feel the joy of self-mastery and inner strength. When you practice justice, you know the joy of connection and compassion. And when you practice temperance, you discover the joy of freedom from the tyranny of your own impulses. This joy is a steady, unwavering light, unlike the flickering flame of pleasure. So, how do we cultivate more joy in our lives? We do so by shifting our focus. Instead of asking, "What can I get to make me happy?" we can ask, "How can I live to be happy?" Instead of chasing the next pleasure, we can focus on cultivating our character. We can invest our energy in learning, in strengthening our relationships, in practicing kindness, and in developing self-discipline. We can learn to find satisfaction in the process, not just the outcome. The joy of a job well done, the joy of a deep conversation, the joy of overcoming a personal challenge, these are the fruits of a life lived with intention. Tonight, as you relax and prepare for sleep, let go of the relentless pursuit of pleasure. Release the need for constant external stimulation. Turn your attention to the quiet, inner wellspring of joy that resides within you. It is always there, waiting to be discovered. It is the peaceful hum beneath the noise of the world. It is the deep, abiding contentment of a soul at peace with itself. Rest in that joy. Let it fill you, sustain you, and guide you. This is the happiness that no one can take away from you. Let us now delve into a practice that is both simple and profoundly transformative: the cultivation of gratitude. In a world that often emphasizes what is lacking, what we need to acquire, and what is wrong, gratitude is a revolutionary act of consciousness. It is the deliberate turning of the mind toward what is good, what is present, and what we have been given. The ancient sages understood that gratitude is not merely a polite sentiment or a response to good fortune. It is a fundamental virtue and a powerful tool for cultivating a joyful and resilient mind. One great teacher believed that it is not the happy man who is grateful, but the grateful man who is happy. This insight turns our conventional understanding on its head. We often think that we will be grateful when we get what we want, the promotion, the relationship, the perfect home. But this makes our gratitude, and therefore our happiness, conditional and dependent on external circumstances. The Stoic approach is to cultivate gratitude as a daily practice, an inner habit, regardless of our situation. By doing so, we shift our entire perspective. We train our minds to see the abundance that already surrounds us, rather than focusing on the illusion of scarcity. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to many of the mental poisons that rob us of our peace, such as envy, resentment, and anxiety. When you are truly grateful for what you have, it is difficult to feel envious of what others possess. When you are thankful for the lessons in your challenges, it is hard to hold on to resentment. And when you appreciate the gift of the present moment, anxiety about the future loses its grip. The practice of gratitude connects us to the reality of our interdependence. It helps us to see that nothing we have, not even our own existence, is solely our own doing. Our food, our shelter, our knowledge, our very breath, all are gifts from the larger web of life, from the work of countless others and the bounty of nature. This recognition fosters a sense of humility and connection, dissolving the ego's illusion of separateness. You can begin to cultivate gratitude in very simple ways. One of the most effective practices is to keep a gratitude journal. Each evening before you sleep, take a few minutes to write down 3 to 5 things from your day for which you are grateful. They do not have to be monumental events. They can be small and simple: the warmth of the sun, a kind word from a stranger, a moment of quiet, the taste of your favorite tea. The key is to be specific and to truly feel the gratitude in your heart as you write. Another practice is to express your gratitude directly to others. A simple, heartfelt thank you can uplift both the giver and the receiver. You can also practice gratitude in moments of difficulty. This is a more advanced practice, but it is incredibly powerful. When facing a challenge, you can ask yourself, what can I be grateful for in this situation? What is the hidden gift or lesson here? This does not mean denying the pain or difficulty, but it means looking for the thread of good even in the darkest of times. It is the practice of amor fati in action. Tonight, as you lie in bed, let your final thoughts be thoughts of gratitude. Mentally scan your day and find a few moments, no matter how small, for which you can be thankful. Feel the warmth of that gratitude spread through your body, relaxing your muscles, calming your mind. Let it be a gentle lullaby, a peaceful end to your day. Gratitude is a choice. It is a muscle that grows stronger with use, and it is one of the most direct paths to the deep, abiding joy that is the hallmark of a life well lived. Rest now in a state of profound and peaceful thankfulness. As we journey deeper into the Stoic art of living, it is crucial to understand the nature of desire. In our consumer-driven society, desire is the engine that powers the economy. We are constantly being told that we are incomplete, that we need something more to be happy, that the next purchase, the next achievement, or the next experience will finally fill the void within. This creates a state of perpetual wanting, a restlessness that keeps us striving but never truly satisfied. The ancient philosophers saw this clearly. They taught that true freedom and peace come not from satisfying all our desires, but from mastering them, from freeing ourselves from their tyrannical grip. An influential sage who was born a slave taught that it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. This is a radical redefinition of poverty and wealth. It suggests that a person can be a billionaire and be impoverished by their insatiable desires, while another person of simple means can be rich in their contentment. The problem is not desire itself. Desire is a natural human impulse. The problem arises when our desires are unchecked, when they are based on false beliefs about what will bring us happiness, and when they control us rather than us controlling them. The Stoics made a useful distinction between natural and unnatural desires. Natural desires are those that are necessary for our survival and well-being, such as the desire for food, water, shelter, and companionship. These desires are generally easy to satisfy and are not a source of great turmoil. Unnatural desires, on the other hand, are those created by society and our own false judgments. These include the desire for excessive wealth, fame, power, and luxury. These desires are insatiable. The more you get, the more you want. They are the source of most of our anxiety, envy, and dissatisfaction. The path to mastering desire begins with self-awareness. We must become keen observers of our own minds, noticing when a desire arises. We can then use our reason, our faculty of wisdom, to examine it. We can ask ourselves, is this a natural desire or an unnatural one? Is this something I truly need, or something I have been conditioned to want? If I satisfy this desire, will it bring me lasting joy, or just fleeting pleasure followed by more craving? This process of rational examination allows us to gain distance from our impulses. It creates a space where we can choose our response rather than acting on autopilot. We can consciously choose to let go of desires that do not serve our long-term well-being. This is the practice of temperance or self-control in action. It is a strengthening of the will. Another powerful practice is to voluntarily experience discomfort. The sages would periodically live simply, eating plain food and wearing coarse clothing, to remind themselves that they did not need luxury to be happy. This practice, sometimes called practicing poverty, is not about self-punishment. It is about building resilience and detaching from the fear of loss. When you know you can be content with little, you are no longer terrified of losing what you have. You are free. This is a profound form of inner wealth. Mastering desire is not about leading a life of joyless austerity. It is about clearing away the clutter of unnecessary wants so that you can more fully appreciate the true sources of joy, virtue, relationships, learning, and the beauty of the natural world. It is about finding abundance not in what you have, but in what you do not need. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, observe any desires that may arise in your mind. Notice the longing for something to be different, the craving for a future pleasure, or the regret over a past one. Do not judge these desires. Simply see them for what they are, fleeting mental events, and then gently let them go. In the space that remains, find a quiet contentment with the present moment, just as it is. You are here. You are breathing. You have everything you truly need. Rest in that simple, profound truth. The journey of self-improvement and the cultivation of a resilient mind is not one that must be walked alone. While Stoicism places great emphasis on self-reliance and the power of one's own reason, it also recognizes the immense value of learning from the wisdom of others. The ancient philosophers understood the importance of having mentors, teachers, and role models to guide us on the path. One of the great thinkers of that era advised his friend, "Choose a master whose life you admire, and let his words and deeds be your guide." This is an invitation to consciously select our influences, to seek out wisdom wherever we can find it, and to learn from the examples of those who have walked the path before us. A mentor, in the Stoic sense, is not necessarily someone you know personally. It can be a historical figure, a philosopher, an author, or anyone whose life and character you admire. The great sages of the past can be our mentors. We can study their lives, read their words, and strive to emulate their virtues. By keeping their example in mind, we have a benchmark, a standard to which we can aspire. This gives us a clear direction for our own growth. When we face a difficult situation, we can ask ourselves, how would my mentor handle this? What would they do or say? This simple question can provide immense clarity and guidance. It can lift us out of our own limited perspective and connect us to a source of greater wisdom and courage. The role of the mentor is to show us what is possible. When we see someone who embodies the qualities we wish to cultivate, serenity in the face of chaos, courage in the face of fear, integrity in the face of temptation, it inspires us and gives us confidence that we too can develop these qualities. Their life becomes a living testament to the philosophy, proving that it is not just a set of abstract ideals, but a practical and achievable way of life. In our modern world, we are surrounded by a multitude of potential influences, not all of them positive. Social media, celebrity culture, and advertising often present us with role models who embody superficial values, fame, wealth, and physical beauty. The Stoic practice of choosing a mentor is a conscious act of resistance against these shallow influences. It is a decision to be guided by wisdom rather than by popularity, by character rather than by charisma. It is crucial to choose our mentors wisely. We should look for individuals who exemplify the virtues we wish to cultivate. We should admire them not for their external achievements, but for their inner character. Are they wise? Are they courageous? Are they just and temperate? Do they live with integrity and purpose? These are the questions we should ask. Having a mentor also provides a sense of companionship on the journey. The path of self-improvement can sometimes feel lonely. Knowing that others have faced similar struggles and have found a way through can be a great source of comfort and encouragement. We are part of a long lineage of seekers, a tradition of wisdom that stretches back for millennia. We are not alone. So, who will you choose as your guide? Perhaps it is a philosopher whose words resonate with you. Perhaps it is a historical leader you admire for their integrity. Perhaps it is a family member or a teacher who has shown you great kindness and wisdom. You can have more than one. The important thing is to consciously choose to learn from their example. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, you might bring to mind someone whose life inspires you. Reflect on their qualities. What is it about them that you admire? How can you begin to cultivate those same qualities in your own life? Let their example be a light that illuminates your path, a source of strength and inspiration. In the company of such noble guides, your own journey to wisdom and resilience is enriched and accelerated. In the intricate social fabric of human existence, it is almost inevitable that we will encounter the emotion of envy. We look at the lives of others, their successes, their possessions, their relationships, and we feel a pang of longing, a sense of our own inadequacy. This feeling, if left unchecked, can be a corrosive poison, eating away at our peace of mind and distracting us from our own unique path. The ancient philosophers with their keen understanding of human psychology, recognized the destructive nature of envy and offered powerful wisdom on how to overcome it. They taught that envy arises from a fundamental misunderstanding of what constitutes a good life. It is born from the false belief that our happiness depends on acquiring the external things that others possess. We have already explored the Stoic idea that true wealth is not in external possessions, but in the virtue and peace of our own soul. When we truly internalize this, the power of envy begins to dissolve. If someone else has more money, a higher status, or a more glamorous lifestyle, a wise person understands that these are indifferent things. They do not determine a person's character or their true happiness. The person we envy may be wealthy on the outside, but impoverished and miserable on the inside. We cannot see their inner struggles, their anxieties, their fears. We are comparing our inner reality with their outer appearance, which is never a fair or accurate comparison. The antidote to envy is to turn our focus away from the lives of others and back onto our own. An ancient teacher advised, "Cease to be a judge of others and be a rigorous examiner of yourself." Your life's work is not to compete with others, but to compete with your own potential. Your journey is unique. Your path has its own challenges and its own blessings. To compare your path with someone else's is to disrespect your own journey. It is like a rose wishing it were a lily, or a stream wishing it were an ocean. Each has its own unique beauty and purpose. The practice of focusing on your own path is one of the most liberating things you can do. It frees you from the exhausting and endless game of comparison. It allows you to channel all your energy into your own growth, into cultivating your own garden. What are your unique talents? What is your true purpose? How can you be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday? These are the questions that lead to a fulfilling and joyful life. Gratitude, as we have discussed, is also a powerful antidote to envy. When you are actively grateful for the blessings in your own life, there is little room for envy to take root. Every time you feel a pang of envy, you can consciously shift your focus to something you are grateful for. This simple act can rewire your brain, creating new neural pathways of contentment and appreciation. It is also helpful to remember the Stoic concept of sympatheia, the interconnectedness of all things. We are all part of the same human family. The success of another person does not diminish your own. In a healthy community, we can learn to celebrate the successes of others, to be inspired by them rather than diminished by them. Their success can be a testament to what is possible for all of us. When you feel envy, do not judge yourself for it. It is a common human emotion. Instead, use it as a signal, a reminder to return your focus to where it belongs, on your own path, your own virtues, your own growth. See it as an opportunity to practice wisdom and self-compassion. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, let go of any comparisons you may have made during the day. Release any feelings of envy or inadequacy. Your journey is yours alone, and it is sacred. Honor it. Appreciate the unique beauty of your own path with all its twists and turns. Your purpose is not to be like someone else. It is to be the most authentic, virtuous, and fulfilled version of yourself. Rest in that knowledge. Your path is unfolding exactly as it should. Of all the emotions that can disturb our inner peace, anger is perhaps one of the most powerful and destructive. It can flare up in an instant, clouding our judgment, poisoning our relationships, and leaving a trail of regret in its wake. The Stoic philosophers dedicated a great deal of thought to understanding and managing this volatile emotion. They saw anger not as a sign of strength, but as a form of temporary madness, a passion that temporarily strips us of our most valuable human faculty, reason. One of the great sages wrote an entire treatise on anger, in which he stated, "There is no more stupefying thing than anger, nothing more bent on its own strength. If it is successful, it is arrogant. If it is not, it is mad." He understood that anger is a double-edged sword. It harms not only the person it is directed at, but also, and perhaps more so, the person who holds it. Anger, at its root, often stems from a sense of injustice, from the belief that we have been wronged or that our expectations have been violated. It is a reaction to an external event that we have judged to be harmful or unfair. The Stoic approach to managing anger, therefore, begins with examining these underlying judgments. When you feel a surge of anger, the first step is to pause. Do not react immediately. Create a space between the trigger and your response. In that space, you can use your reason to analyze the situation. Ask yourself, is this situation truly as terrible as I am making it out to be? Have I been truly harmed, or has my ego just been bruised? Is the person who angered me acting out of malice or perhaps out of ignorance, fear, or their own pain? Often we will find that our anger is disproportionate to the actual event. We are reacting not to the thing itself, but to our interpretation of it. The practice of empathy is a powerful antidote to anger. When we try to understand the perspective of the other person, to see the world through their eyes, it is difficult to maintain a state of rage. We may not agree with their actions, but we can begin to see their humanity, their own struggles and imperfections. This understanding can soften our hearts and dissolve our anger. Another key Stoic practice is to reflect on the futility and cost of anger. Does anger ever truly solve a problem? More often than not, it escalates conflicts, damages relationships, and harms our own well-being. It is a high price to pay for a fleeting sense of righteousness. A wise person chooses their battles carefully and understands that peace of mind is a far greater prize than winning an argument. This does not mean we should be passive in the face of true injustice. The Stoic is not a doormat. When action is required, it should be taken from a place of calm, clarity, and reason, not from the heat of passion. A just response is firm, decisive, and aimed at resolving the situation, not at inflicting punishment. It is about restoring balance, not about seeking revenge. Managing anger is a skill that requires daily practice. It is about catching the first spark before it becomes a wildfire. It is about choosing a reasoned response over an impulsive reaction. Every time you succeed in doing this, you are strengthening the muscle of your own self-control and fortifying your inner citadel. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, let go of any anger or resentment you may be holding from the day. Breathe it out. It does not serve you. It is a heavy burden that prevents you from finding rest. Forgive those who may have wronged you, not for their sake, but for your own. Forgiveness is the act of reclaiming your own peace. Remember that you have the power to choose your response in every situation. You can choose peace. You can choose reason. You can choose calm. Rest now in the quiet, undisturbed sanctuary of your own serene mind. In the course of our lives, we will inevitably be hurt by the actions of others. People will disappoint us, betray us, and act in ways that cause us pain. Our natural reaction is often to hold on to this pain, to nurture a sense of grievance and resentment. We may feel that forgiving the other person is to let them off the hook, to condone their behavior, but the ancient philosophers taught a profound and liberating truth. Forgiveness is not something we do for the other person. It is a gift we give to ourselves. Holding on to anger, resentment, and the desire for revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It is a heavy burden that poisons our own soul, robs us of our peace, and keeps us chained to the past. The person who hurt us may have moved on with their life, while we are left to suffer in the prison of our own bitterness. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks that prison door. It is the act of letting go of the burden of resentment and reclaiming your own inner freedom. This does not mean you have to forget what happened. It does not mean you have to condone the harmful behavior. And it does not necessarily mean you have to reconcile with the person who hurt you. It simply means you are making a conscious choice to release the negative emotions that are binding you to the pain. You are choosing peace over turmoil, freedom over bondage. The Stoic view of justice can help us in this process. The sages believe that people who do wrong do so out of ignorance. They do not understand what is truly good. They are acting from a place of a flawed or underdeveloped character. As one great emperor wrote, "When people injure you, ask yourself what good or harm they thought would come of it. If you understand that, you'll feel sympathy rather than outrage or anger." When we see the actions of others as a product of their own confusion and suffering, it is easier to let go of our personal anger. We can see them not as evil, but as mistaken. We can feel a sense of compassion for their inner turmoil, which is the root of their harmful actions. This does not excuse their behavior, but it depersonalizes it, making it easier for us to release our emotional charge. The process of forgiveness is often not a single event, but a journey. It may require patience and self-compassion. You can start by simply setting the intention to forgive. You can acknowledge your pain, allow yourself to feel it without judgment, and then make a conscious choice to begin the process of letting it go. You might find it helpful to write a letter to the person who hurt you, expressing all your feelings, and then, as a symbolic act, burn it, releasing the pain with the smoke. Another powerful practice is to wish the other person well. This may sound difficult, but it is a radical act of freeing yourself. When you can genuinely wish for the happiness of someone who has caused you pain, you have truly liberated yourself from the chains of resentment. Your well-being is no longer tied to their fate. You are free. Tonight, as you rest, scan your heart for any lingering resentments or grievances you may be holding. Acknowledge them with compassion, and then, if you feel ready, make the gentle choice to begin to let them go. Visualize the heavy chains of resentment dissolving and feel the lightness and freedom that comes in their place. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of self-love. It is the clearing of your inner space so that it can be filled with peace, joy, and love. Rest now in the spacious, open, and peaceful sanctuary of a forgiving heart. In our hyper-connected world, we are constantly exposed to the opinions of others. Social media, news outlets, and our own social circles create a ceaseless barrage of judgments, praise, and criticism. It is easy to become entangled in this web, to stake our self-worth and our happiness on the shifting sands of public opinion. We may find ourselves constantly seeking validation, terrified of disapproval, and shaping our lives to fit the expectations of others. The ancient sages saw this as a form of voluntary slavery. They taught that to be truly free, we must liberate ourselves from our dependence on external validation. An influential teacher of that time poignantly asked, "I have to die. If it is now, well then I die now. If later, then now I will take my lunch, since the hour for lunch has arrived, and dying I will tend to later." This seemingly simple statement contains a profound lesson about priorities. It teaches that we should be governed by our own reason and our own values, not by the external events or the opinions of others. What other people think of you is ultimately their business, not yours. Their opinions are a reflection of their own beliefs, their own experiences, and their own biases. They are not a true measure of your worth. To base your self-esteem on the praise of others is to build your house on sand. The same people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. Their favor is fickle and unreliable. The Stoic path is to build your house on the solid rock of your own character, your own virtue. Your focus should be on living with integrity, on acting in alignment with your deepest values. When you know you are doing the right thing, when your conscience is clear, the opinions of others lose their power over you. You can listen to feedback, you can learn from criticism, but you are not crushed by it. Your sense of self is anchored in something much deeper and more stable. This does not mean you should be arrogant or dismissive of others. A wise person is humble and open to learning, but they are able to distinguish between constructive feedback that can help them grow and empty praise or malicious criticism that is best ignored. They have a strong internal compass that allows them to navigate the social world with grace and integrity. They are, as the poet said, able to keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. How can we cultivate this inner freedom? It begins with self-knowledge. You must know what your own values are. What is truly important to you? What principles do you want to live by? When you are clear on your own internal compass, you are less likely to be swayed by the winds of public opinion. It also requires the practice of self-validation. We must learn to be our own source of approval. We can do this by acknowledging our own efforts, celebrating our own small victories, and treating ourselves with compassion when we fall short. We must become our own best friend and our most trusted ally. When you feel the pull of wanting to be liked or the sting of being disapproved of, you can pause and remind yourself of this ancient wisdom. You can return your focus to what is within your control, your own actions, your own intentions, your own character. You can choose to be guided by your inner truth rather than by the noisy chorus of the world. Tonight, as you rest, let go of any worries about what others may think of you. Release the need for approval. Release the fear of judgment. Your worth is not up for a vote. It is inherent and unshakable. You are the sole judge of your own character. Rest in the quiet confidence of your own integrity. In that space of self-acceptance and inner freedom, may you find profound and peaceful sleep. The path to a tranquil and resilient life requires a clear understanding of what is truly necessary for our well-being. Our modern consumerist culture bombards us with the message that happiness is found in accumulation, that our needs are endless, and that we must constantly strive for more. This creates a state of perpetual dissatisfaction, where we are always chasing the next thing, believing it will finally bring us contentment. The Stoic philosophers offered a powerful antidote to this modern malaise, the wisdom of distinguishing between what we truly need and what we merely want. A great Roman thinker who lived a life of both immense wealth and profound simplicity taught that the person who is content with what they have is the richest of all. He understood that true wealth is not about having great possessions, but about having few wants. This is a fundamental shift in perspective that can liberate us from the endless cycle of desire and disappointment. The Stoics suggested that our true needs are actually quite simple and easy to satisfy. We need food and water to nourish our bodies, shelter to protect us from the elements, and companionship to nourish our souls. Nature, they believed, has provided for these basic needs in abundance. The problem arises when we confuse our wants with our needs. We may want a gourmet meal, but we only need simple, nutritious food. We may want a mansion, but we only need a safe and comfortable home. We may want the admiration of thousands, but we only need the genuine connection of a few dear friends. These manufactured wants, often fueled by advertising and social comparison, are insatiable. They are a bottomless pit that can never be filled. The more we get, the more we want, and our peace of mind is sacrificed in this relentless pursuit. The practice of differentiating between needs and wants is an exercise in wisdom and self-control. It requires us to pause before we act on a desire and to ask ourselves with honesty, is this something I truly need? Or is this just a fleeting want? Will this bring me lasting joy and well-being, or just a momentary pleasure? This simple act of questioning can break the spell of impulsive consumption and reconnect us with our true values. This does not mean we must live a life of harsh asceticism. The Stoics were not against enjoying the good things in life, but they believed we should enjoy them without becoming dependent on them. We should be able to appreciate a fine meal, but also be content with a simple one. We should be able to enjoy a comfortable home, but not have our happiness destroyed if we have to live more simply. This is the essence of resilience. It is the ability to be happy and virtuous in any circumstance. By simplifying our needs, we become less vulnerable to the whims of fortune. We are less afraid of loss because we know that our true well-being does not depend on the things that can be taken away. We discover a profound sense of freedom and security that comes not from our bank account, but from our own inner resources. This is the wealth that truly matters. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, reflect on your own needs and wants. What are the things you believe you need to be happy, and how many of them are truly essential? Can you find a sense of contentment in the simple, fundamental blessings of your life? The breath in your body, the roof over your head, the love in your heart. Let go of the striving, the wanting, the endless pursuit. In the quiet simplicity of the present moment, you will find that you already have everything you need to be at peace. Rest in that abundance. Rest in that freedom. At the core of a meaningful and resilient life lies the Stoic principle of duty. The ancient philosophers believed that as rational social beings, we have a responsibility to act with purpose and integrity, to fulfill our roles in the world to the best of our ability. This is not a grim or burdensome obligation, but a source of profound satisfaction and inner peace. The practice of duty is about aligning our actions with our deepest values and contributing to the common good. A great emperor and philosopher of the past began each day by reminding himself of his duty. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? This is a powerful call to action. It reminds us that we have a purpose, that our lives are not meant to be spent in passive comfort, but in active, virtuous engagement with the world. Our duty, in the Stoic sense, is multifaceted. We have a duty to ourselves, to cultivate our reason, to strengthen our character, and to live in accordance with our highest potential. This is the foundation of a good life. We cannot be of service to others if we have not first taken care of our own soul. We also have a duty to others, to our families, our friends, our communities, and to the larger human family. As social creatures, Our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of those around us. The Stoic virtue of justice calls us to be fair, kind, and compassionate in all our dealings. Every act of service, no matter how small, is a fulfillment of this duty. It is about playing our part in the great human drama with honor and integrity. The concept of duty gives our lives a sense of direction and meaning. When we know what our duty is, we have a clear compass to guide our decisions. We are no longer adrift in a sea of conflicting desires and distractions. We have a purpose that is larger than our own personal pleasure or comfort. This sense of purpose is a powerful source of resilience. When we are acting from a place of duty, we can endure hardship with greater fortitude. We know that we are doing what is right, what is necessary, and this gives us the strength to persevere. Our actions are no longer just for ourselves. They are part of a larger, more meaningful whole. This does not mean that we must all have grand, heroic roles to play. Our duty is found in the here and now, in the specifics of our own lives. A parent's duty is to care for their child. A teacher's duty is to educate their students. An artist's duty is to create beauty. A friend's duty is to offer support. Whatever your role, you can fulfill it with excellence and virtue. This is the path to a life of deep and lasting fulfillment. The joy that comes from fulfilling our duty is far more profound and enduring than the fleeting pleasure of satisfying a personal whim. It is the quiet, steady satisfaction of a life well lived, of a conscience at peace. Tonight, as you rest, reflect on your own duties. What are the roles you play in life? What are the responsibilities you have to yourself and to others? And how can you fulfill them with greater purpose and integrity tomorrow? Let go of the pursuit of a life of ease and comfort. Instead, embrace the noble challenge of a life of duty. In the dedicated, virtuous performance of your daily actions, you will find a strength, a peace, and a meaning that will sustain you through all of life's seasons. In our pursuit of a virtuous and well-ordered life, the role of routine cannot be overstated. While modern culture often celebrates spontaneity and freedom from structure, the ancient philosophers understood that a well-designed routine is not a prison, but a framework for liberation. It is a conscious structure we create to support our highest values, freeing up our mental and emotional energy to focus on what truly matters. A life without routine can easily become chaotic and reactive. We are pulled in 1,000 different directions by external demands and our own fleeting impulses. Our time and energy are squandered on trivial decisions and distractions. A disciplined routine, on the other hand, is an act of proactive design. It is a declaration of our priorities. It is us telling our time where to go instead of wondering where it went. Think of a master craftsman in their workshop. Their tools are meticulously organized, each in its proper place. Their workflow is a well-practiced rhythm. This order does not stifle their creativity, it enables it. Because they do not have to waste energy searching for a tool or deciding on the next step, they are free to pour all their focus and skill into the act of creation itself. Our lives can be like that workshop. By creating routines for the essential tasks of our day, waking, working, exercising, eating, and resting, we automate a large portion of our decisions. This conserves our precious willpower for the more significant challenges and opportunities that arise. A morning routine, as we have discussed, can set a tone of intention and focus for the entire day. An evening routine can promote reflection and peaceful rest. A work routine can enhance productivity and deep focus. An exercise routine can build physical strength and resilience. A routine for meals can support our health. The key is to design these routines consciously in alignment with our values. They should not be a rigid set of rules that we follow mindlessly, but a flexible structure that we adapt to our needs. The goal is not to become a robot, but to create a supportive rhythm that allows our best self to flourish. The freedom found in routine is paradoxical but profound. By committing to a structure, we are freed from the tyranny of constant decision-making. By embracing discipline, we are freed from the slavery of our own worst impulses. By creating order in our outer world, we cultivate a deep and abiding peace in our inner world. The sages of old understood this. Their days were often structured around periods of study, work, reflection, and service. This was not a life of drudgery, but a life of purpose and clarity. Their routine was the trellis upon which the vine of their virtue could grow strong and bear fruit. So, how can you begin to build a more virtuous structure in your own life? Start small. Choose one area of your life where you would like to have more consistency. Perhaps it is your morning. What is one small habit you could add to your morning routine that would align with your values? Perhaps a few minutes of meditation, a short reading from a wise text, or simply a moment of quiet gratitude before the day begins. Do not try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That is a recipe for failure. Instead, build your routine brick by brick, habit by habit. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. The goal is progress, not perfection. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, consider the rhythm of your life. Where is there harmony? Where is there chaos? What is one small change you could make tomorrow to bring a little more order, a little more intention into your day? Let the idea of a supportive routine be a comfort to you. It is a structure you can build for yourself, a framework that will hold you steady as you navigate the unpredictable currents of life. In the quiet, disciplined rhythm of a well-ordered life, you will find a profound and lasting freedom. The analogy of an athlete is a powerful one in Stoic philosophy. The sages often compared the training of the mind to the training of the body. Just as an athlete subjects their body to rigorous, consistent training to build strength, speed, and endurance, the student of philosophy must subject their mind to daily practice to cultivate wisdom, courage, and resilience. This is not a passive pursuit of knowledge, but an active, lifelong commitment to mental and spiritual fitness. An athlete does not become strong by simply reading about exercise. They must go to the gym, lift the weights, run the miles. Similarly, a Stoic does not become virtuous by simply reading philosophy. They must apply the principles in the gymnasium of daily life. Every interaction, every challenge, every decision is an opportunity to train. Every time we face a difficult situation with calm, every time we choose a reasoned response over an impulsive reaction, every time we act with kindness and integrity, we are doing a rep for our soul. The training is often uncomfortable. An athlete pushes their muscles to the point of fatigue, knowing that this is how they grow stronger. Likewise, the Stoic willingly faces discomfort. They practice voluntary hardship, living simply, fasting, or deliberately facing their fears, to toughen their mind and reduce their dependence on external comforts. They know that a mind that has only known ease will be brittle and fragile when faced with real adversity. A mind that has been tempered by challenges, on the other hand, is strong and resilient. The training must be consistent. An athlete who only trains sporadically will never reach their peak performance. It is the daily, disciplined effort that yields results. The same is true for our character. We must practice the virtues every day, in small ways and large. We must engage in our morning and evening reflections, monitor our judgments, and work to align our actions with our values, day in and day out. This consistent effort is what transforms philosophical ideas into lived realities, into the very fabric of our being. An athlete also needs a good coach or a training plan. As we have discussed, we can choose the great sages of the past as our mentors. Their writings are our training manuals. They provide us with the principles, the techniques, and the inspiration we need to guide our practice. We can study their words, reflect on their example, and use their wisdom to shape our own training regimen. And just like an athlete, we must be patient with our progress. There will be days when we feel strong and days when we falter. There will be victories and there will be setbacks. This is all part of the process. The key is to not get discouraged, to learn from our mistakes, and to get back to the training the next day with renewed commitment. The goal is not to achieve a state of perfect, static virtue. The goal is the process itself, the continuous, lifelong effort to become a better, wiser, and more resilient human being. The joy is found in the training, in the feeling of growing stronger, in the quiet satisfaction of a day lived well. Tonight, as your body rests and recovers, remember that your mind is also an incredible instrument, capable of amazing feats of strength and resilience, and you are its dedicated trainer. You have the power to shape it, to strengthen it, to cultivate its highest potential. See your life as a grand athletic endeavor, a noble contest. The prize is not a medal or a trophy, but something far more valuable: a tranquil mind, a virtuous character, and a life of profound meaning and joy. Rest now, like a dedicated athlete after a good day's training, knowing that you are growing stronger with each conscious effort. In the Stoic conception of a good life, friendship holds a special and honored place. But the sages' understanding of friendship was far deeper than mere companionship or social pleasure. For them, true friendship was a bond of shared virtue, a connection between two souls who are both committed to the journey of self-improvement and living an ethical life. It was a relationship built not on utility or pleasure, but on mutual respect, admiration for each other's character, and a shared love of wisdom. A wise Roman philosopher wrote to his friend, "If you consider any man a friend whom you do not trust as you trust yourself, you are mightily mistaken, and you do not sufficiently understand what true friendship is." This highlights the profound level of trust and intimacy that characterizes a Stoic friendship. It is a relationship where you can be completely yourself, where you can share your deepest thoughts, your struggles, and your aspirations without fear of judgment. Your friend is a mirror for your soul, someone who helps you to see yourself more clearly and holds you accountable to your own highest values. This kind of friendship is a powerful catalyst for personal growth. A true friend is not someone who simply flatters you or agrees with everything you say. A true friend is someone who challenges you to be better, who gently points out your blind spots, and who encourages you when you falter on the path of virtue. They are a training partner in the gymnasium of life, someone with whom you can practice the philosophical arts. You can discuss ideas, debate ethical dilemmas, and support each other in facing life's challenges. In this way, friendship becomes a shared journey toward wisdom. The Stoics believed that we are all interconnected, part of a single human community. Friendship is the most intimate and powerful expression of this interconnectedness. It is in the context of a virtuous friendship that we most fully practice the social virtues of justice, kindness, and compassion. By caring for the well-being of our friend, by acting with fairness and integrity in our relationship, we are cultivating the very qualities that make us good citizens and good human beings. How do we find and cultivate such friendships? It begins with becoming the kind of person you would want as a friend. You must first be committed to your own path of virtue. As the saying goes, like attracts like. When you are living a life of integrity and purpose, you will naturally draw similar people into your life. Cultivating a Stoic friendship requires honesty, vulnerability, and a willingness to both give and receive constructive feedback. It requires dedicating time and attention to nurturing the bond, to engaging in meaningful conversation, and to being there for your friend in times of need. It is one of the most worthwhile investments you can make in your life. This deep, virtuous friendship is a source of immense joy and resilience. It is a refuge in times of trouble, a source of celebration in times of success, and a constant inspiration to continue on the path of self-improvement. It is one of the greatest treasures a person can possess, a wealth of the soul that far surpasses any material riches. Tonight, as you rest, think of the friends in your life. Are there relationships that embody this ideal of shared virtue? Take a moment to feel a sense of gratitude for these precious bonds, and perhaps consider how you can be a better friend tomorrow, more present, more compassionate, more encouraging. And if you feel you lack this kind of deep connection, do not despair. Begin by being a better friend to yourself and by walking the path of virtue with dedication. In time, you will find fellow travelers to share the journey. Rest now in the warmth and security of the idea of true friendship, a sacred bond of the soul. Life, in its inevitable unfolding, will present us with moments of profound sorrow and loss. We will lose loved ones, face disappointments, and experience the pain of endings. In these moments, our resilience is put to the ultimate test. Modern culture often encourages us to suppress or avoid grief, to be strong and move on as quickly as possible. The Stoic philosophers, however, offered a wiser and more compassionate approach. They did not advocate for the suppression of grief, but for navigating it with dignity, reason, and an understanding of the natural order of things. The first step in the Stoic approach to grief is to accept the reality of loss. The sages taught that we should not be surprised by the vicissitudes of life. They practiced premeditating on potential losses, not to become morbid, but to be mentally prepared. They understood that everything we love and cherish is on loan to us from fortune, and at any moment it may be recalled. As one teacher advised, when you are tucking your child into bed at night, you might silently reflect, "You may not be here in the morning." This is not a dark thought, but a radical practice of appreciating the present moment and accepting the impermanence of all things. When loss does occur, it is natural to feel pain. The Stoics were not unfeeling statues. They acknowledged the deep emotional impact of grief. A great Roman thinker who lost his own beloved daughter wrote movingly about his sorrow. However, he distinguished between natural, initial grief and prolonged, self-indulgent mourning. He believed that the initial shock and pain are natural and should be allowed. But to wallow in sorrow indefinitely, to let it consume our lives, is an act of unreason. It is to rebel against the nature of reality. The key is to use our reason to manage our grief. We can acknowledge our pain without letting it overwhelm our rational mind. We can allow ourselves to feel the sorrow, but we do not have to be defined by it. We can remind ourselves that our loved one's life was a gift, and we can be grateful for the time we had with them. We can focus on the beautiful memories, on the love that was shared, rather than solely on the pain of the absence. A powerful Stoic practice is to separate our judgments from the event. The loss itself is a neutral fact. It is our interpretation. This is a terrible tragedy, I cannot live without them, that creates the intense suffering. We can learn to see the loss as part of the natural cycle of life, as painful as it may be. This does not erase the pain, but it can prevent it from spiraling into despair. The Stoics also emphasized our duty to continue living, not just for ourselves, but for others. Even in our grief, we have roles to play, responsibilities to fulfill. By focusing on our duties, on being of service to others, we can find a sense of purpose that can help to carry us through the darkest times. We can honor the memory of our loved ones by living our own lives with greater virtue and compassion. Navigating grief is a deeply personal journey, and there is no single right way to do it. But the Stoic path offers a framework of dignity, resilience, and wisdom. It allows us to honor our pain without being consumed by it. It teaches us to find strength in reason, solace in gratitude, and purpose in duty. It shows us that even in the face of the greatest losses, we can maintain our inner citadel, our unshakable core of peace and integrity. Tonight, if you are carrying the weight of grief, be gentle with yourself. Allow your feelings to be there without judgment, and then you might gently introduce a thought of gratitude for what was, a thought of acceptance for what is, and a thought of courage for what will be. You are stronger than you know. Your capacity for resilience is immense. Rest now in the quiet, healing sanctuary of your own brave heart. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. This profound statement from a Roman emperor encapsulates a central tenet of Stoic philosophy. The world is in a constant state of flux, and our ability to thrive depends on our capacity to adapt with flexibility and a well-ordered mind. Change is the only constant in life. Seasons change, our bodies change, our relationships change, our circumstances change. To resist this fundamental law of nature is to set ourselves up for a life of constant struggle and frustration. A tree that is rigid and unbending will snap in a strong wind, while a tree that is flexible and sways with the breeze will endure. So it is with the human mind. The Stoic path is not about building a rigid, unyielding character, but about cultivating a flexible, adaptable, and resilient one. It is about learning to bend without breaking, to flow with the currents of life rather than fighting against them. This mental flexibility is a product of our reason. By understanding that change is natural and inevitable, we can greet it not with fear and resistance, but with a sense of curiosity and openness. When faced with an unexpected change, a shift in our career, a move to a new city, a change in our health, our first reaction might be anxiety. We cling to the familiar and fear the unknown. The Stoic practice is to pause and observe this initial reaction, and then to use our reason to reframe the situation. Instead of seeing the change as a threat, we can choose to see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to experience something new, to develop new skills, to prove our own resilience. This is the alchemy of the Stoic mind, the ability to turn a potential obstacle into a stepping stone. This adaptability also applies to our plans and expectations. We may have a clear vision for our future, a detailed map of how we want our lives to unfold. But life rarely follows our maps precisely. There will be detours, roadblocks, and unexpected turns. The wise person holds their plans lightly. They work diligently towards their goals, but they are not shattered when things do not go exactly as planned. They are able to pivot, to adjust their sails, to find a new path forward. They understand that the journey itself is the goal, and that the lessons learned along the way are often more valuable than the original destination. The practice of the view from above is a powerful tool for cultivating this flexibility. By zooming out and seeing our lives in the context of the vastness of time and space, we are reminded of the smallness and transience of our individual plans. This cosmic perspective can help us to let go of our rigid attachment to specific outcomes and to embrace the larger, mysterious flow of existence. Cultivating flexibility also means being open to changing our own minds. A wise person is not dogmatic. They are willing to listen to new ideas, to consider different perspectives, and to update their own beliefs in the light of new evidence or deeper understanding. They are in a constant state of learning and growth. Their mind is not a fixed monument, but a living, evolving garden. Tonight, as you rest, let go of any rigid attachments you may be holding. Release your grip on how you think things should be. Embrace the idea of life as a fluid, dynamic dance. You are a dancer, and your task is to move with grace and skill, adapting to the ever-changing rhythm of the music. You do not need to know all the steps in advance. You just need to be present, attentive, and willing to move. In this state of flexible, open awareness, you will find a profound sense of peace and freedom. You are no longer at war with reality. You are in harmony with it. Rest now in the gentle, flowing current of life. In our goal-oriented culture, we are often fixated on the idea of perfection. We strive for the perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect body, the perfect life. We believe that happiness lies at the end of this quest, in the final achievement of a flawless state. This pursuit of perfection, however, is often a source of great anxiety, frustration, and self-criticism. It is a race with no finish line, for perfection is an illusion, an unattainable ideal that always remains just out of reach. The ancient philosophers, with their deep understanding of human nature, offered a wiser path: to embrace the process and to let go of the obsession with the perfect outcome. They taught that the value of an endeavor lies not in the final result, but in the quality of the effort, in the virtue and intention we bring to the journey itself. Think again of the archer. Their goal is to hit the bullseye. But a wise archer knows that the final landing place of the arrow is not entirely within their control. A gust of wind, a subtle flaw in the arrow, many external factors can intervene. The wise archer, therefore, focuses on what they can control, the process of shooting. They focus on their stance, their breathing, their aim, their release. They strive to perform the act of shooting with excellence. This is where their virtue lies. If they do this, they can be content, regardless of where the arrow lands. They have done their part well. This is a powerful metaphor for how we should approach our lives. We should have goals and aspirations. We should strive for excellence. But we must learn to detach from the outcomes and to find our satisfaction in the process. When you are working on a project, focus on doing the work with diligence, creativity, and integrity. When you are in a relationship, focus on being a loving, present, and compassionate partner. When you are pursuing a personal goal, focus on the daily habits, the consistent effort, the joy of learning and growing. When you embrace the process, you free yourself from the tyranny of the result. Your happiness is no longer postponed to a future moment of success. It is found here and now in the act of engaged, virtuous living. You are no longer devastated by failure because you know that you have given your best effort, and you are not overly inflated by success because you know that it is not the sole measure of your worth. This mindset cultivates a deep sense of resilience. You are able to persevere through setbacks because your motivation is not dependent on constant validation. You are able to enjoy the journey with all its ups and downs because you are not solely focused on the destination. You are more willing to take risks and to try new things because you are not paralyzed by the fear of not being perfect. To embrace the process is also to embrace our own imperfection. We will make mistakes. We will fall short. This is part of the human journey. A wise person does not berate themselves for their mistakes. They see them as valuable feedback, as opportunities to learn and to refine their approach. They are patient and compassionate with themselves, knowing that growth is a gradual, ongoing process. Tonight, as you prepare to rest, let go of the need to be perfect. Release any self-criticism or disappointment you may be holding about not having reached a certain goal. Instead, shift your focus to your efforts. Acknowledge the diligence, the courage, and the intention you brought to your day. Find satisfaction in the process of your own becoming. You are a work in progress, a masterpiece in the making. And the beauty lies not in a final, flawless state, but in the dynamic, ongoing, and perfectly imperfect process of your own unfolding. Rest now in the peaceful acceptance of your own journey. In the social landscape of our lives, the desire to be liked and to fit in is a powerful and deeply ingrained human impulse. From a young age, we learn to seek the approval of others, our parents, our teachers, our peers. This can be a healthy impulse, as it helps us to form bonds and to live harmoniously in a community. However, this desire can become a source of great suffering when it leads us to compromise our own integrity, to silence our own truth, and to live an inauthentic life. The Stoic philosophers championed the virtue of authenticity. They believe that a good life is one lived in alignment with our own reason and our own deepest values. This sometimes requires the courage to be disliked, to stand apart from the crowd, and to be true to ourselves, even when it is unpopular. A great teacher of the past, who was himself exiled for his philosophical views, understood this well. He taught that we should be more concerned with the state of our own soul than with the opinions of others. He knew that seeking external validation is a form of slavery, as it makes our happiness dependent on something we cannot control, the judgments of other people. When we live to please others, we give away our power. We become chameleons, constantly changing our colors to fit our surroundings. We may become agreeable and well-liked, but we lose something far more valuable, our own soul. We feel a sense of inner conflict, a quiet unease that comes from not living in alignment with our own truth. The courage to be disliked is not about being abrasive, rude, or intentionally contrarian. It is not about a rebellious disregard for the feelings of others. A just and compassionate person always treats others with respect. Rather, the courage to be disliked is about having a firm inner center. It is about knowing who you are and what you stand for, and having the strength to live by your principles, even if others disagree or disapprove. It is the courage to say no to a request that violates your values. It is the courage to speak up for what you believe is right, even if you are the only one. It is the courage to pursue a path that is true to your own heart, even if your family or friends do not understand. This is a path of profound integrity, and it is ultimately the path to true self-respect. When you know that you are living an authentic life, you develop a deep and abiding sense of inner peace. You are no longer tossed about by the winds of public opinion. You are anchored in the quiet confidence of your own conscience. This does not mean that we should be indifferent to the feedback of those we trust and respect. A wise person is always open to learning and growth, and the perspective of a true friend can be an invaluable gift. But we must learn to distinguish between constructive feedback that helps us to become better and the pressure to conform that diminishes us. Cultivating the courage to be disliked requires self-knowledge and self-compassion. We must take the time to understand our own values, and we must be willing to stand by ourselves to be our own staunchest ally, especially when we feel the sting of disapproval. Tonight, as you rest, reflect on your own life. Are there areas where you are afraid to be your true self? Are you compromising your values to win the approval of others? And what would it feel like to let go of that fear, to stand tall in your own truth? Imagine the freedom, the lightness, the integrity of an authentic life. It is a life of courage. It is a life of peace. And it is a life that is available to you, one brave choice at a time. Rest now in the quiet strength of your own authentic heart. The human mind has a natural tendency to focus on what is wrong, what is missing, what is lacking. This negativity bias, as modern psychologists call it, was a useful survival mechanism for our ancient ancestors, helping them to be alert to potential dangers. In our modern world, however, this same tendency can become a source of chronic anxiety, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. We can become so focused on our problems and our perceived shortcomings that we fail to see the immense good that already exists in our lives. The ancient philosophers offered a powerful and elegant solution to this predicament: the practice of gratitude. They understood that gratitude is more than just a fleeting feeling or a polite response. It is a fundamental virtue, a way of seeing the world, and a direct path to a joyful and resilient life. One of the great sages taught that a wise person does not grieve for the things which they have not, but rejoices for those which they have. This is a conscious and deliberate shift in perspective. It is the art of turning our attention away from the illusion of scarcity and toward the reality of abundance. When we practice gratitude, we are not denying the existence of problems or challenges in our lives. We are simply choosing not to give them our exclusive focus. We are making a conscious choice to also see the good. And the more we look for the good, the more we find it. Gratitude is a muscle that grows stronger with practice. The practice of gratitude is a powerful antidote to many of the negative emotions that steal our peace. It is difficult to feel envious when you are grateful for what you have. It is hard to feel resentful when you are thankful for the lessons in your challenges. It is challenging to feel anxious about the future when you are fully appreciating the gift of the present moment. Gratitude also fosters a deep sense of humility and interconnectedness. It helps us to see that we are not self-sufficient islands. Our lives are supported by a vast network of other people, by the bounty of nature, and by a web of circumstances far beyond our own making. This recognition dissolves the arrogance of the ego and connects us to a sense of a larger whole. We can cultivate gratitude through simple daily practices. As we have discussed, keeping a gratitude journal is a highly effective method. Taking a few minutes each day to write down specific things you are thankful for can literally rewire your brain for happiness. You can also practice gratitude in your interactions with others. A sincere expression of thanks can brighten someone's day and strengthen your relationships. You can practice gratitude for your own body, for its incredible ability to heal, to move, to experience the world. You can be grateful for your mind, for its capacity to learn, to reason, to create. You can even practice gratitude for your challenges. This is a more advanced practice, but it is deeply transformative. When you can look at a difficulty and genuinely say, "Thank you for this lesson. Thank you for making me stronger," you have reached a profound level of wisdom and resilience. You have learned to turn any obstacle into an opportunity. Tonight, as you lie down to rest, let your mind be filled with thoughts of gratitude. Let go of the worries and complaints of the day. Instead, allow yourself to bathe in the warm, healing light of thankfulness. Be grateful for the simple, profound miracle of your own existence. The breath flowing in and out of your body, the gentle support of the bed beneath you, the quiet sanctuary of this present moment. Gratitude is a doorway to joy. It is a path to peace. It is the foundation of a resilient and beautiful life. Rest now in the deep, serene contentment of a grateful heart. As we delve further into the Stoic way of life, we must consider our role not just as individuals seeking personal peace, but as members of a larger human community. The ancient philosophers had a profound sense of our interconnectedness, a concept they called sympatheia, the idea that all things are mutually woven together and have an affinity for each other. They believed that we are not isolated atoms, but cells in a single, vast organism, the cosmos or the human family. From this perspective, our individual well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of the whole. A wise emperor and philosopher expressed this beautifully. What is not good for the beehive is not good for the bee. This simple analogy captures the essence of Stoic social ethics. It reminds us that our actions have consequences that ripple outward, affecting those around us. To live a virtuous life, therefore, is not just about cultivating our own inner fortress. It is also about contributing positively to the world we share. The virtue of justice, as we have explored, is central to this social duty. It calls us to be fair, kind, and compassionate in all our dealings. It is the recognition of the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. When we act with justice, we are strengthening the fabric of our community. We are contributing to a world where all can flourish. This sense of being a citizen of the world, a cosmopolitan, was a radical idea in the ancient world, and it remains a powerful and necessary one today. It invites us to look beyond the narrow confines of our own tribe, our own nation, our own self-interest, and to see ourselves as members of a single global family. This perspective is a potent antidote to the divisiveness, prejudice, and conflict that plague our modern world. When we see the humanity in others, even those who are different from us, it is more difficult to treat them with cruelty or indifference. The practice of being a good Stoic citizen begins in our daily lives, in our small, everyday interactions. It is in the way we treat our family members, our colleagues, our neighbors, and the strangers we encounter. Do we act with patience, with respect, with a willingness to help? Do we listen with empathy? Do we speak with kindness? Every small act of virtue is a contribution to the health of the whole. This does not mean we must solve all the world's problems. The Stoic is a pragmatist. They focus on what is within their circle of control. We may not be able to end war or poverty on a global scale, but we can bring a little more peace and kindness into our own small corner of the world. We can be a source of stability and reason in our own families and communities. We can do our work, whatever it may be, with integrity and a spirit of service. Living as a Stoic citizen is not a burden. It is a source of deep meaning and fulfillment. When we know that our lives are part of something larger than ourselves, when we are contributing to the common good, we experience a joy that transcends personal pleasure. We are fulfilling our nature as rational, social beings. We are living in harmony with the cosmos. Tonight, as you rest, expand your awareness beyond your own personal concerns. Feel your connection to the countless other souls who share this planet with you. Send a silent wish of peace and well-being to all of them. Recognize that you are part of this vast, intricate, and beautiful web of life. And make a gentle commitment to play your part, however small, with virtue, with compassion, and with a sense of shared humanity. In this sense of belonging, of purpose, of service, may you find a deep and abiding peace. The rhythm of modern life often feels like a frantic race against time. We are pressured to achieve more, to move faster, to get immediate results. This culture of impatience can create a great deal of stress and anxiety. We become frustrated when things do not happen on our timeline, and we can lose faith when our efforts do not yield immediate fruit. The ancient sages, living in a world that moved at a much slower pace, had a deep appreciation for the virtue of patience. They understood that everything in nature has its own rhythm, its own season, and that to fight against this natural timing is a source of unnecessary suffering. A tree does not grow to its full height overnight. A seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. There is a process of germination, of growth in the darkness, that is necessary and cannot be rushed. The Stoics taught that so it is with our own lives, with our personal growth, and with the unfolding of events. Patience is not passive waiting or resignation. It is an active and wise trust in the process. It is the ability to persevere with our efforts without becoming discouraged by the apparent lack of immediate results. It is the understanding that some of the most valuable things in life, wisdom, character, deep relationships, meaningful work, take time to cultivate. Imagine you are planting a garden. You prepare the soil, you plant the seeds, you water them, and you remove the weeds. You do everything in your power to create the right conditions for growth, but you cannot force the plants to grow faster than their nature allows. You must have the patience to wait, to trust in the process of nature, to allow the sun and the rain to do their work. A wise gardener does not dig up the seeds every day to see if they are sprouting. They know that this would destroy the very thing they are trying to nurture. So it is with our goals and aspirations. We must do our part with diligence and virtue. We must plant the seeds of our intentions and water them with our consistent effort. But then we must have the patience to let them grow. We must trust that if we have created the right inner conditions, the results will come in their own time. Patience is also a crucial virtue in our relationships with others. People have their own journeys, their own pace of learning and growth. To be impatient with others, to demand that they change on our timeline, is a form of arrogance. True compassion involves having the patience to meet people where they are, to offer our support and encouragement without forcing our own agenda. When you feel the grip of impatience, when you are frustrated by the slowness of progress, you can practice this Stoic wisdom. You can pause and remind yourself of the natural rhythm of things. You can shift your focus from the desired outcome to the quality of your present effort. You can find satisfaction in the process itself, in the knowledge that you are doing your part well. You can practice trust, trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust in the larger order of life. This trust is not a blind faith, but a reasoned confidence that comes from understanding the nature of reality. Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, let go of any sense of urgency or frustration you may be holding. Release the need for everything to happen now. Embrace the virtue of patience. Trust that the seeds you have planted in your life are germinating, even if you cannot yet see the sprouts. Your journey is unfolding in its own perfect time. There is no need to rush. There is no need to worry. Simply be present with the process and have faith in your own becoming. In the quiet, steady rhythm of patience, may you find profound and peaceful rest. In the theater of our minds, emotions are the principal actors. They take center stage, delivering dramatic monologues of joy, anger, sadness, and fear. It is easy to become completely absorbed in their performance, to identify so strongly with them that we forget that we are not the actors, but the silent, aware audience. We are the space in which the play of emotions unfolds. The ancient philosophers understood this distinction clearly. They taught that while emotions are a natural and unavoidable part of the human experience, we do not have to be their slaves. The path to inner peace lies in learning to observe our emotions without being consumed by them, in acknowledging their presence without letting them dictate our actions. When you feel a strong emotion, such as anger, rising within you, think of it as a storm cloud gathering in the vast sky of your mind. You are the sky, not the cloud. The cloud is a temporary weather pattern passing through. It may be dark and turbulent, but it cannot harm the sky itself. The sky remains spacious, open, and fundamentally peaceful. The common mistake is to identify with the cloud. We say, "I am angry," as if our entire being has been reduced to this single fleeting emotion. A more stoic and wiser perspective would be to say, "I am aware of a feeling of anger arising within me." This subtle shift in language creates a profound shift in consciousness. It creates a space of observation. From this space, you can look at the emotion with a sense of curiosity. Where is this feeling in my body? What thoughts are accompanying it? What triggered it? By observing the emotion in this detached way, you rob it of its power to control you. You are no longer swept away by the storm. You are the calm, steady presence that watches it pass. This practice is not about suppressing or denying your emotions. Suppressed emotions do not disappear. They simply go underground, where they can fester and cause greater harm later. The Stoic approach is one of acknowledgement and acceptance. You allow the emotion to be there. You give it space to exist, but you do not have to act on it. You can feel a surge of anger and choose to respond with calm. You can feel a wave of fear and choose to act with courage. You can feel a pang of sadness and choose to meet it with self-compassion. This is the essence of emotional resilience. It is the freedom to feel without being defined by your feelings. It is the power to choose your response rather than being a victim of your reactions. This skill, like any other, is strengthened with practice. You can start with small emotions. When you feel a minor irritation, a flicker of anxiety, a moment of sadness, practice observing it. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind. Breathe into it and watch as, like a cloud, it eventually changes and dissolves. The more you practice with the small emotions, the more equipped you will be to handle the larger storms when they arrive. Tonight, as you lie in the stillness, you may become aware of various emotions from your day. Do not fight them. Do not analyze them. Simply let them be. Welcome them as temporary visitors in the vast, peaceful house of your being. You are the host, calm and gracious. They are the guests who will come and go. In this spacious, non-judgmental awareness, you will find a deep and abiding peace. You are the sky, eternal and serene. The clouds of emotion are just passing through. Rest in the vast, quiet expanse of your own true nature. As we draw this journey through the heart of Stoic wisdom to a close, let us synthesize the lessons we have explored into a coherent vision of what the ancient philosophers called the good life. This is not a life of an endless pleasure, material riches, or public acclaim. The good life, in the Stoic sense, is a life of virtue, of inner peace, and of profound fulfillment. It is a life of character, strength, and harmony, available to every one of us, regardless of our external circumstances. The foundation of the good life is the understanding of what is within our control and what is not. It is the wisdom to focus our energy on our own thoughts, judgments, and actions, and to accept with equanimity the things we cannot change. This single principle is the key that unlocks the door to inner freedom. Upon this foundation, we build the structure of our character with the 4 cardinal virtues. We navigate our lives with the compass of wisdom, making clear and rational choices. We face our challenges with the shield of courage, enduring hardship with a steady and resilient mind. We interact with others with the grace of justice, treating every person with fairness, kindness, and respect. And we master our inner world with the discipline of temperance, freeing ourselves from the tyranny of our own impulsive desires. The good life is one that is lived in conscious awareness of its own impermanence. By remembering that our time is finite, through the practice of memento mori, we learn to cherish each moment as a precious gift. We stop postponing our happiness and start living with a sense of purpose and urgency. We love more deeply, forgive more easily, and waste no time on trivialities. This awareness leads us to an embrace of our own unique destiny, the practice of amor fati. We learn to love every part of our journey, the smooth paths and the rocky ones, seeing every experience as a necessary and valuable part of our own becoming. We stop fighting with reality and find a deep peace in saying yes to our life just as it is. In the good life, our perspective is broad and expansive. Through the view from above, we see our own concerns in the context of the vast cosmos, cultivating humility and a sense of interconnectedness. We recognize ourselves as citizens of the world with a duty to contribute to the common good. Our relationships are deep and meaningful. We strive to be a true friend to ourselves, treating ourselves with compassion and encouragement. And we seek out and nurture friendships built on shared virtue, relationships that challenge us, support us, and help us to grow. We navigate the inevitable storms of life, grief, anger, fear, not by suppressing our emotions, but by observing them with a calm and reasoned mind. We are the sky, not the clouds. We cultivate an inner citadel of peace that cannot be breached by external turmoil. The good life is a process, not a destination. It is a daily practice, a lifelong commitment to growth and self-improvement. It is not about achieving a state of perfection, but about embracing the journey with an open heart and a disciplined mind. It is about finding joy not in the outcome, but in the virtuous effort itself. Tonight, as you surrender to the gentle pull of sleep, let this vision of the good life be your guide. Know that you have within you all the tools you need to craft such a life. You have the power of reason, a capacity for virtue, a strength for resilience. You are the sculptor of your own soul. The path is clear. It is a path of wisdom, of courage, of justice, of temperance. It is a path of peace, of joy, of profound and lasting meaning. Walk this path, and know that with every conscious step, you are not just building a better life, you are becoming a better human being. Rest now in the serene and powerful vision of your own highest potential. Let us turn our minds now to the very fabric of our being, the silent architect of our world, our thoughts. It has been said by wise thinkers throughout the ages that our life is what our thoughts make it. This is not a mere poetic phrase. It is a profound psychological and philosophical truth. Your entire experience of reality, the joy you feel, the sorrow you endure, the peace you cultivate, is filtered through and created by the quality of your thoughts. The external world provides the raw material, but it is your mind that weaves it into the tapestry of your life. Imagine two people looking at the same sunset. One, whose mind is cluttered with worry and resentment, sees only the dying of the light, a reminder of an ending day and the anxieties of tomorrow. The other, whose mind is calm and grateful, sees a spectacular display of color and beauty, a moment of profound peace and wonder. The sunset is the same. The internal landscape is what creates the experience. The Stoics understood this principle with unparalleled clarity. They taught that the mind, or the hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, is the source of all our judgments and therefore all our emotions. If you can master your thoughts, you can master your life. This is the ultimate form of power. This mastery does not mean forcefully stopping your thoughts or trying to maintain a constantly positive outlook. The mind is a restless thing, and thoughts will arise unbidden like clouds in the sky. The mastery lies in choosing which thoughts to engage with, which to believe, and which to simply let pass. It is the art of becoming a discerning guardian at the gates of your own mind. When a negative thought appears, a thought of fear, self-doubt, or anger, you do not have to invite it in for a long conversation. You can acknowledge its presence and then gently turn your attention elsewhere to a thought that is more constructive, more virtuous, more true. This is a practice of mental discipline. It is like training a wild horse. At first it will resist, bucking and pulling in every direction. But with patient, consistent effort, you can teach it to be a calm and reliable companion. You can guide your thoughts rather than being dragged along by them. One of the most powerful techniques for this mental training is the practice of questioning your thoughts. When a distressing thought arises, you can ask yourself, is this thought true? Can I be absolutely certain that it's true? How do I react when I believe this thought? Who would I be without this thought? This process of inquiry, made famous by modern spiritual teachers, has deep roots in ancient philosophy. It is an application of reason to our inner world, a way of untangling the knots of our own making. Another key practice is to consciously choose what you feed your mind. Just as the health of your body depends on the food you eat, the health of your mind depends on the information you consume. Are you constantly exposing yourself to negativity, outrage, and fear through the news and social media? Or are you nourishing your mind with wisdom, beauty, and inspiration through good books, uplifting conversations, and time in nature? You have the power to curate your mental environment. This is a profound responsibility and a profound opportunity. By choosing your thoughts, you are choosing your life. By cultivating a mind that is calm, clear, and virtuous, you are creating a life of peace, purpose, and joy. This is not a one-time fix, but a daily, moment-to-moment practice. It is the great work of a lifetime. Tonight, as you lie in the stillness, become aware of the flow of your thoughts. Do not judge them. Do not struggle with them. Simply observe, and know that you are the observer, the silent, peaceful awareness behind the thoughts. From this place of stillness, you can make a gentle commitment. Tomorrow, you will be a more mindful guardian of your thoughts. You will choose to water the seeds of peace, wisdom, and kindness within you. You will let the weeds of negativity wither from a lack of attention. This is how you build your inner citadel. This is how you become the master of your own world. Rest now in the quiet, sovereign peace of your own mind. In our quest for a resilient and meaningful life, we must learn to navigate the complex world of human relationships. It is here that our philosophy is most rigorously tested. It is easy to be serene in solitude, but it is in our interactions with others, with all their imperfections and unpredictability, that our true character is revealed. The ancient philosophers offered profound guidance on how to build relationships that are not only harmonious, but are also a vehicle for our own and others' growth. At the heart of a Stoic approach to relationships is the virtue of justice. As we have learned, this means treating every person with fairness, respect, and a fundamental kindness. It is the recognition that every human being, regardless of their station or their behavior, is a fellow citizen of the cosmos, a spark of the same universal reason. This perspective is a powerful foundation for compassion. When someone acts in a way that is hurtful or frustrating, the Stoic practice is not to react with anger, but to try to understand the source of their behavior. A great sage taught that people do wrong only out of ignorance of what is good. They are like a person who is sick or lost. To be angry with them is as illogical as being angry with someone for having a fever. The rational and compassionate response is to try to help, to teach, to guide, or, if that is not possible, to meet their ignorance with our own understanding and fortitude. This does not mean we should tolerate abuse or allow others to harm us. Justice also requires us to protect ourselves and to set clear boundaries. A wise person does not needlessly expose themselves to toxic environments. They choose their company carefully, seeking out friends who share a commitment to virtue and growth. We must also apply the dichotomy of control to our relationships. We cannot control what other people say, think, or do. We can only control our own response. To stake our happiness on the approval, the love, or the behavior of another person is to give away our power and to set ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. Our task is to be the best friend, the best partner, the best parent, or the best colleague we can be. We must focus on our own side of the street, on acting with integrity, love, and kindness. And then we must let go of the outcome. We must allow others the freedom to be who they are, to make their own choices, and to walk their own path. This is a profound act of respect for them and for ourselves. Forgiveness, as we have discussed, is also a cornerstone of healthy relationships. We must be willing to forgive others for their mistakes, and we must be willing to forgive ourselves for our own. Holding on to grudges is a heavy burden that poisons our own hearts. By letting go of resentment, we free ourselves to connect with others from a place of openness and love. Authenticity is another key element. A Stoic relationship is one where we can be our true selves, where we can speak our truth with kindness, and where we are not afraid to be vulnerable. This requires the courage to be disliked, to stand by our own values, even if others do not share them. Ultimately, the goal of a Stoic relationship is not just mutual pleasure or utility, but mutual improvement. Our relationships should be a space where we help each other to become better human beings. We should inspire each other, challenge each other, and support each other on the path to wisdom and virtue. Tonight, as you rest, think of the important relationships in your life. How can you bring more justice, more compassion, more authenticity to them tomorrow? How can you focus more on your own virtuous actions and less on trying to control the other person? Let go of any resentments you may be holding. Fill your heart with a sense of gratitude for the people who share your journey. And remember that every interaction is an opportunity to practice the art of living well, to strengthen your character, and to contribute to a more harmonious world. Let us now turn to the Stoic art of preparation, a practice that allows us to face the future not with anxiety, but with a calm and resilient confidence. The ancient philosophers were not passive fatalists. They were proactive strategists of the soul. They understood that while we cannot control the future, we can prepare our minds to meet whatever it may bring. One of the most powerful of these preparatory exercises is the practice of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils or adversities. This may sound like a pessimistic or negative practice, but it is, in fact, a deeply empowering one. It is not about wallowing in worry, but about a calm, rational rehearsal for potential challenges. The practice is simple. Each morning, or at any time of quiet reflection, you take a few moments to visualize the things that could go wrong in your day or in your life. You might imagine facing a difficult conversation, encountering a frustrating obstacle, receiving criticism, or even experiencing a more significant loss, such as an illness or a financial setback. You do not dwell on these images to create fear. The goal is the opposite. As you visualize these potential adversities, you also visualize yourself responding to them with the Stoic virtues. You imagine yourself facing the difficult conversation with courage and justice. You see yourself navigating the obstacle with wisdom and patience. You hear yourself receiving the criticism with equanimity, extracting any useful lesson and discarding the rest. You envision yourself enduring the loss with fortitude and grace. By doing this, you are desensitizing yourself to the fear of these events. You are, in effect, vaccinating your mind against the shocks of life. When you have already faced a challenge in your mind, it loses much of its power to disturb you when it actually occurs. You are not caught by surprise. You are not thrown into a state of panic or confusion. You have a mental script, a practiced response, ready to go. You have, as one sage said, rehearsed for misfortune. This practice also helps you to appreciate what you have right now. When you take a moment to contemplate the potential loss of your health, your loved ones, or your livelihood, you are reminded of how precious and fragile these things are. This can fill you with a profound sense of gratitude for the blessings of the present moment. You are less likely to take them for granted. The premeditation of adversity is a tool for building psychological resilience. It is like a fire drill for the soul. We hope the fire never comes, but if it does, we are prepared. We know how to act, where to go, and how to maintain our calm. This preparation is a source of deep and abiding confidence. It is the confidence that comes from knowing that you have the inner resources to handle whatever life throws at you. You are not dependent on a life free of problems for your peace of mind. Your peace comes from your own well-trained, resilient character. This is true freedom. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, you might gently practice a form of this premeditation. You can think of a small challenge you might face tomorrow, and then you can imagine yourself meeting it with your best self, with calm, with wisdom, with courage. Do not let this become a source of worry. Let it be a quiet, empowering rehearsal. And then, let it go. Release the future, and return your attention to the peaceful sanctuary of the present moment. Rest in the quiet confidence that you are prepared, you are strong, you are resilient. Whatever comes, you can handle it. The Stoic philosophy is not a path of withdrawal from the world, but one of active, engaged, and purposeful living. At the heart of this engagement is the concept of duty, the understanding that as rational and social beings, we have a role to play in the larger cosmic order. This sense of duty is not a heavy burden, but a source of profound meaning, direction, and joy. It is the answer to the fundamental human question, why am I here? The great Roman emperor, who was also a dedicated student of philosophy, began each day by reminding himself of his duty. He would tell himself that he was not created to huddle under the blankets and stay warm, but to go out and do the work of a human being. This was his motivation, his reason for getting out of bed, his guiding principle for the day. Our duty, in the Stoic sense, is not some grand, externally imposed mission. It is found in the here and now, in the specific circumstances of our lives, in the roles that fate has assigned to us. We have a duty to ourselves, first and foremost. This is the duty to cultivate our own character, to develop our reason, to strive for virtue. This is the foundation upon which all other duties are built. We cannot be a good parent, a good citizen, or a good friend if we are not first working on becoming a good human being. We also have a duty to others. As members of the human family, we are bound by ties of mutual care and responsibility. We have a duty to be kind, to be fair, to be helpful. This duty is expressed in our specific roles. A parent has a duty to their child. A doctor has a duty to their patient. A leader has a duty to their people. A friend has a duty to their friend. Whatever our station in life, we can find our duty there. The beauty of this concept is that it gives meaning to even the most mundane tasks. When you are washing the dishes, you can see it as part of your duty to create a clean and harmonious home for your family. When you are doing a difficult task at work, you can see it as your contribution to the larger enterprise. When you are listening to a friend in need, you are fulfilling your duty of compassion. By infusing our actions with this sense of purpose, we transform them from chores into acts of virtue. A life guided by duty is a life of integrity and coherence. We are no longer pulled in different directions by fleeting desires or the expectations of others. We have a clear, internal compass. We know what we need to do, and we do it, not for praise or reward, but because it is the right thing to do. This is a source of immense inner strength and peace. The satisfaction that comes from a duty well performed is far deeper and more lasting than any superficial pleasure. It is the quiet joy of a life lived in alignment with its true purpose. It is the peace of a clear conscience. So, how can we become more clear about our own duties? We can begin by reflecting on our roles. What are the different hats you wear in your life? As a parent, a child, a partner, a worker, a friend, a citizen. And what are the responsibilities that come with each of these roles? How can you perform them with more excellence, with more virtue? Do not be overwhelmed. The path of duty is walked one step at a time. The key is to bring a sense of purpose and intention to the small, everyday actions of your life. Tonight, as you rest, let go of any sense of aimlessness or confusion you may feel. Embrace the clarity and purpose that comes from a life of duty. Know that your life has meaning, and that meaning is found in the virtuous fulfillment of your unique roles. You have a part to play in the grand symphony of the cosmos. Play it well. In that noble effort, you will find your deepest joy and your most profound peace. In the pursuit of a serene and resilient life, the ancient philosophers placed a high value on simplicity. They understood that an overly complicated life, cluttered with unnecessary possessions, commitments, and desires, is a major obstacle to inner peace. By consciously choosing to simplify our lives, we can free up our energy, clarify our minds, and reconnect with what is truly essential. Our modern world often pushes us in the opposite direction. It celebrates complexity, accumulation, and busyness. We are encouraged to want more, to do more, to be more. This can lead to a state of chronic overwhelm where we feel scattered, stressed, and disconnected from our own souls. The Stoic practice of simplicity is a powerful antidote to this modern affliction. It is the art of consciously cutting away the non-essential in all areas of our lives. Let us first consider our physical environment. A cluttered home can contribute to a cluttered mind. By decluttering our living spaces, by letting go of possessions we no longer need or use, we can create an outer environment that reflects the inner clarity and peace we seek. This is not about a rigid minimalism, but about a mindful curation of our surroundings. Every object in our home should be either useful or beautiful. Everything else is just a distraction. We can also simplify our schedules. It is easy to fall into the trap of being busy, of filling every moment with activity. But busyness is not the same as productiveness or fulfillment. A wise person is discerning with their time. They know how to say no to commitments that do not align with their values or priorities. They create space in their lives for quiet, for reflection, for deep connection, for the things that truly nourish their soul. By simplifying our schedules, we move from a reactive mode of existence to a proactive one. We are no longer just responding to the endless demands on our time. We are consciously choosing how to invest our most precious resource. Perhaps the most important area for simplification is our inner world, our minds. We can simplify our mental lives by mastering our desires, as we have discussed. By distinguishing between our true needs and our manufactured wants, we can free ourselves from the endless cycle of craving. We can find a deep contentment in the simple, fundamental blessings of life. We can also simplify our minds by letting go of mental clutter, such as grudges, worries about the future, and regrets about the past. These are heavy, unnecessary burdens. Through practices like forgiveness, mindfulness, and the premeditation of adversity, we can clear out this inner debris and create a mental space that is open, spacious, and peaceful. Simplicity is a path to freedom. It is freedom from the burden of possessions, freedom from the tyranny of a packed schedule, and freedom from the noise of a cluttered mind. It is a return to what is essential, what is real, what is true. In simplicity, we find a profound elegance and a deep, abiding peace. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, I invite you to contemplate the areas of your life where you could invite more simplicity. What possessions could you let go of? What commitments could you release? What mental burdens could you set down? Imagine the lightness, the clarity, the peace that would come from this simplification. Let go of the complex, the overwhelming, the unnecessary. In the quiet elegance of simplicity, you will find a sanctuary for your soul. Rest now in that peaceful, uncluttered space. The human capacity for reason is our most distinctive and powerful faculty. It is what separates us from other animals and connects us to the divine or the rational order of the cosmos. The ancient philosophers saw the cultivation of reason as our primary duty and the key to a virtuous and fulfilling life. To live according to reason is to live in harmony with our own highest nature and with the nature of the universe itself. But what does it mean to live a life guided by reason? It is not about being a cold, calculating logician devoid of emotion. Reason, in the Stoic sense, is a holistic faculty. It includes our ability to think clearly, to make sound judgments, to understand complex situations, and to act with wisdom and prudence. It is also deeply connected to our social and ethical nature. A truly rational person is also a just, kind, and compassionate one. Living according to reason means we do not allow ourselves to be governed by our passions, our irrational fears, our unchecked anger, our insatiable desires. We have already explored how to observe and manage these emotions. Reason is the tool we use to do this. It is the wise, calm center of our being that can look at an emotional storm and choose a course of action that is not reactive but proactive and virtuous. When we are guided by reason, we are able to see the world more clearly. We can distinguish between what is true and what is false, between what is important and what is trivial. We are less likely to be fooled by superficial appearances or swayed by the irrational opinions of the crowd. We have our own internal compass, our own standard of judgment. This gives us a profound sense of stability and self-reliance. To cultivate our reason, we must be lifelong learners. The sages were devoted to the study of philosophy, not as an academic exercise, but as a practical art of living. We too can nourish our reason by reading wise texts, by engaging in thoughtful conversation, by reflecting on our own experiences, and by being open to new ideas. We must constantly question our own beliefs and be willing to change our minds in the light of new evidence. A rational mind is a flexible and growing mind. Living according to reason also means accepting the logical order of the universe. It is the understanding that everything happens for a reason, as part of a vast web of cause and effect. This is the foundation for the practice of amor fati, the love of our fate. When we understand that even the things that seem tragic or unjust are part of a larger rational order that we may not fully comprehend, it is easier to accept them with equanimity. We can trust that there is a wisdom in the unfolding of life, even when it is painful. This trust in the rationality of the cosmos is a source of immense peace. We are no longer at war with reality. We are participants in a grand, coherent, and meaningful whole. We are playing our part in the symphony of existence. Tonight, as you rest, connect with the faculty of reason that lies within you. It is a powerful, clear, and steady light. It is your guide, your protector, and your greatest strength. Feel a sense of gratitude for this incredible gift and make a commitment to cultivate it, to trust it, and to let it guide your life. When you are guided by reason, you are never truly lost. You have a compass that will always point you toward what is true, what is good, and what is beautiful. Rest now in the calm, clear, luminous peace of your own rational mind. In the pursuit of a Stoic life, the concept of service to others is not an afterthought or a secondary concern. It is an essential expression of our very nature. The ancient philosophers taught that we are inherently social creatures, born to live and work together in a community. Our individual good is inextricably tied to the common good. To live a virtuous life, therefore, is to live a life of service. The idea that what is not good for the beehive is not good for the bee is a powerful reminder of this interconnectedness. When we act in ways that harm our community, we ultimately harm ourselves. And when we contribute to the well-being of others, we enrich our own lives in the process. Service, in the Stoic sense, is not about a grudging sense of obligation or a desire for recognition. It is the natural outflow of a virtuous character. When you have cultivated the virtues of justice, kindness, and compassion within yourself, serving others is not a chore, it is a joy. It is the active expression of your best self. Service can take many forms. It does not require grand, heroic gestures. It is found in the small, everyday acts of kindness and contribution. It is in the way we fulfill our duties, as we have discussed. A parent serving their child, a teacher serving their students, a doctor serving their patients. These are all acts of service. Whatever our work is, we can approach it with a spirit of service, with the intention of making a positive contribution to the world. We can also find opportunities for service outside of our formal roles. We can volunteer in our communities. We can offer a listening ear to a friend in need. We can perform a random act of kindness for a stranger. We can be mindful of our impact on the environment. Every action that is motivated by a desire to help, to contribute, to alleviate suffering, is an act of service. Living a life of service is a powerful antidote to the self-absorption of the ego. When we are focused on the needs of others, we have less time and energy to brood over our own petty concerns. Our personal problems are put into a larger perspective. This can be a source of great emotional relief and mental clarity. Service connects us to our shared humanity. It breaks down the walls of separation and reminds us that we are all in this together. This sense of connection and belonging is a fundamental human need and a deep source of fulfillment. It is in giving that we receive. By serving others, we strengthen our own character. We practice compassion, we develop patience, we learn humility. We become better, wiser, and more resilient human beings. The joy that comes from making a positive difference in the life of another person is one of the most profound and enduring joys we can experience. It is a joy that nourishes the soul. So, how can we bring more of this spirit of service into our lives? We can start by being more present and attentive to the needs of those around us. We can look for small opportunities to be helpful, to offer a kind word, to share what we have. We can approach our work not just as a way to make a living, but as a way to make a contribution. We can ask ourselves each day, how can I be of service today? Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, let go of any self-centered worries. Expand your heart to include the well-being of others. Feel your connection to the larger human family. And in that sense of shared existence, you might make a quiet intention to live tomorrow with a greater spirit of service. In the act of giving, of contributing, of serving, you will find a profound purpose, a deep joy, and an unshakable peace. As we continue our exploration of Stoic principles, let us examine the powerful role of our physical body in the quest for a tranquil and resilient mind. The ancient philosophers did not see the mind and body as separate, warring entities. They understood that they are deeply interconnected and that the health of one profoundly affects the health of the other. A well-ordered mind resides in a well-cared-for body. Therefore, the Stoic path includes a conscious and disciplined approach to physical well-being. This is not about the modern obsession with achieving a perfect physique or chasing fleeting standards of beauty. The Stoic approach to the body is rooted in the virtue of temperance and the understanding that our body is a vessel, an instrument that we must keep in good working order so that we can live a virtuous and purposeful life. A body that is weakened by neglect or abuse is a hindrance to the mind. It can create physical discomfort, mental fog, and emotional instability. A body that is strong, healthy, and resilient, on the other hand, is a powerful ally for the soul. It provides the energy, the clarity, and the stability we need to face life's challenges. The care of the body, for the Stoic, is a form of duty. It is our responsibility to be good stewards of the physical vehicle we have been given. This involves several key practices. First, there is the matter of nourishment. A wise person eats to live, not lives to eat. They choose food that is simple, natural, and nourishing, avoiding excess and indulgence. They understand that what they put into their body affects their energy levels, their mood, and their ability to think clearly. They practice temperance at the dinner table, finding a healthy balance between pleasure and prudence. Second, there is the importance of movement. The sages knew that a sedentary life is unhealthy for both body and mind. They often advocated for walking as the ideal form of exercise, as it is simple, natural, and allows for a state of moving meditation. Whatever form of exercise we choose, the key is consistency. A regular practice of physical activity strengthens the body, clears the mind, and builds the kind of physical fortitude that supports our mental resilience. Third, there is the crucial role of rest. In our modern culture that glorifies busyness and often sees sleep as a luxury, the Stoic wisdom of prioritizing rest is more important than ever. A good night's sleep is not a waste of time. It is essential for the restoration of both body and mind. It is during sleep that our bodies heal, our brains process the day's events, and our emotional equilibrium is restored. A wise person honors their need for rest and creates a routine that supports it. By caring for our bodies with this kind of mindful discipline, we are not just improving our physical health, we are strengthening our character. We are practicing temperance, self-control, and prudence. We are demonstrating our respect for the natural order of things. We are building a solid foundation for a resilient and virtuous life. Tonight, as your body lies in stillness, take a moment to feel a sense of gratitude for it. It is an incredible, intricate, and resilient instrument. Appreciate the breath that flows through it, the heartbeat that sustains it, and make a gentle commitment to be a better caretaker of this precious vessel tomorrow. Choose food that nourishes, movement that invigorates, and rest that restores. In the simple, disciplined care of your body, you will find a powerful path to a clearer, calmer, and more resilient mind. In the Stoic journey toward a life of virtue and tranquility, there is a profound understanding that some of our deepest growth comes from embracing discomfort. Our modern world is largely designed to shield us from any form of hardship. We seek comfort, convenience, and the path of least resistance. While these things are not inherently bad, a life lived in constant comfort can make us soft, fragile, and ill-prepared for the inevitable challenges that existence will present. The ancient philosophers, in contrast, saw the value in voluntarily and strategically embracing discomfort. This is not about a masochistic love of pain, but about a wise and deliberate practice of building resilience. It is the spiritual equivalent of an athlete lifting weights to strengthen their muscles. They called this practice voluntary hardship. One of the great Roman Stoics advised his friends to set aside a certain number of days each month to practice poverty. During this time, they would eat the simplest food, wear the coarsest clothes, and sleep on a hard surface. They would say to themselves, "Is this the condition that I feared?" By doing this, they were achieving several important things. First, they were desensitizing themselves to the fear of loss. The fear of poverty, of losing one's comforts, can be a powerful and paralyzing force. It can lead us to make compromises with our integrity, to stay in unfulfilling situations, and to live with a constant low-grade anxiety. By voluntarily experiencing a simplified life, the Stoics discovered that they could not only survive, but even be content with very little. This knowledge was liberating. It broke the chains of their attachment to material things and gave them a profound sense of inner freedom and security. Second, this practice cultivated a deep sense of gratitude. After a few days of simple living, a return to their normal life was experienced with a heightened sense of appreciation. A comfortable bed, a warm meal, the simple pleasures of daily life were no longer taken for granted. They were seen as the gifts they truly are. This is a powerful way to reset our hedonic treadmill and to find joy in the ordinary. Third, voluntary hardship builds mental and physical fortitude. It is a direct training in the virtues of courage and temperance. It strengthens our willpower and proves to us that we are stronger than we think. A mind that has been tested by discomfort is not easily broken by adversity. It has a reserve of strength to draw upon when life becomes truly difficult. We can adapt this ancient practice to our own modern lives. We do not need to live in a hut, but we can choose to embrace small strategic discomforts. We can take a cold shower. We can fast for a day. We can sleep on the floor for a night. We can deliberately do something that is outside our comfort zone, such as public speaking or having a difficult conversation. The key is to do it voluntarily and with a clear intention, to build our resilience, to appreciate what we have, and to prove to ourselves that our well-being is not dependent on a life of constant ease. Tonight, as you rest in the comfort of your bed, you might consider what small, voluntary discomfort you could embrace tomorrow. Perhaps it is skipping that second cup of coffee. Perhaps it is taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Perhaps it is simply enduring a moment of boredom without reaching for your phone. These small acts of self-discipline are like deposits in your bank account of resilience. They may seem insignificant on their own, but over time they accumulate, building a profound inner wealth of strength, confidence, and freedom. Rest now, knowing that you have the capacity to be strong, to be resilient, and to be at peace in any and all circumstances. As we continue to explore the practical wisdom of Stoicism, we arrive at the art of listening. In a world that is saturated with noise, where everyone is vying to speak, to share their opinion, to be heard, the act of truly listening has become a rare and precious skill. The ancient philosophers, however, recognized listening not just as a communication technique, but as a fundamental aspect of wisdom, justice, and self-improvement. One of the great teachers of the past is famously quoted as having said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple observation contains a profound truth. To listen well is to open ourselves up to learning, to understanding, to connection. To speak too much is often to close ourselves off, to remain trapped in the echo chamber of our own opinions. The practice of Stoic listening begins with humility. It is the recognition that we do not have all the answers, that our own perspective is limited, and that every person we meet has something to teach us. When we approach a conversation with this mindset, we are not just waiting for our turn to speak. We are genuinely curious. We are seeking to understand the other person's point of view, their experiences, their feelings. This kind of deep, empathetic listening is a powerful act of justice and respect. It is a way of honoring the inherent dignity of the other person. When we give someone our full, undivided attention, we are giving them a profound gift. We are telling them, "You matter. Your perspective is valuable. I am here to understand you." This can be incredibly healing and affirming for the other person, and it is the foundation of any true and meaningful relationship. Listening is also a crucial tool for our own self-improvement. By listening to the feedback of trusted friends, mentors, and even critics, we can gain invaluable insight into our own blind spots. A wise person does not surround themselves with flatterers. They seek out honest, constructive feedback that can help them to grow. This requires the courage to hear things we may not want to hear and the wisdom to distinguish between helpful criticism and unhelpful negativity. The art of listening also applies to our inner world. We must learn to listen to the quiet voice of our own conscience, our own reason. In the midst of the noisy demands of our ego and our passions, our rational faculty is often a gentle whisper. We must cultivate the inner silence and stillness required to hear its guidance. Practices like meditation and quiet reflection are, in essence, practices of deep inner listening. So, how can we become better listeners in our daily lives? We can start by practicing active listening. When someone is speaking, give them your full attention. Put away your phone. Make eye contact. Try to understand not just their words, but the feelings behind their words. Ask clarifying questions. Paraphrase what you have heard to ensure you have understood correctly. And most importantly, resist the urge to interrupt, to formulate your own response while they are still speaking. Just listen. Tonight, as you drift into the quiet world of sleep, let go of the need to speak, to explain, to defend. Simply rest in a state of open, receptive silence. And perhaps make an intention for tomorrow, to listen more and to speak less, to approach your conversations with a genuine curiosity and a desire to understand. In the quiet, humble, and profound art of listening, you will find a path to greater wisdom, deeper connections, and a more peaceful and harmonious life. In our journey through the Stoic landscape, we have often touched upon the idea of living in accordance with nature. Let us now explore this concept more deeply, for it is one of the most fundamental and unifying principles of the entire philosophy. To the modern ear, living in accordance with nature might conjure images of retreating to the wilderness or abandoning the conveniences of modern life. But for the Stoics, it meant something far more profound. It meant living in harmony with the two aspects of nature, the nature of the cosmos and our own human nature. First, let us consider the nature of the cosmos. The Stoics saw the universe not as a random, chaotic collection of events, but as a single, unified, and rationally ordered system. They called this universal reason the Logos. They believed that everything that happens, from the rising of the sun to the falling of a leaf, is part of this vast, intricate, and ultimately benevolent cosmic plan. To live in accordance with cosmic nature, therefore, is to accept this rational order. It is to embrace our fate, as we have discussed in the practice of amor fati. It is to understand that we are a small part of a much larger whole, and that even the events that seem tragic or difficult from our limited perspective have a place and a purpose in the grand design. This is not a blind faith, but a reasoned trust in the coherence of the universe. It is a source of immense peace, as it frees us from the futile struggle against what is. We learn to flow with the river of life, rather than trying to swim against its current. The second aspect is our own human nature. What distinguishes us as human beings is our capacity for reason. Therefore, to live in accordance with our own nature is to live a life guided by reason. It is to use our unique human faculty to cultivate the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. It is to master our irrational passions and to live in a way that is coherent, purposeful, and ethical. These two aspects of nature are not separate. They are two sides of the same coin. Our own human reason is a spark of the universal Logos. By living rationally, we are not only fulfilling our own highest potential, we are also aligning ourselves with the rational order of the cosmos. We are, in effect, becoming a harmonious note in the grand symphony of existence. This principle of living in accordance with nature has profound practical implications. It gives us a clear standard for how to live. When we are faced with a choice, we can ask ourselves, what is the rational, the virtuous, the natural thing to do? It guides us to be social and cooperative, as our nature is to live in a community. It guides us to be resilient, as nature itself is a constant process of change and adaptation. It guides us to be simple in our needs, as nature provides for our basic needs in abundance. Living in accordance with nature is the ultimate goal of the Stoic path. It is the definition of the good life. It is a life of eudaimonia, a state of flourishing, of well-being, of deep and abiding joy. This is not a life free of challenges, but it is a life free of inner turmoil. It is a life of serene harmony, both within ourselves and with the world around us. Tonight, as you rest, feel your own connection to the natural world. Feel the steady, rhythmic breath in your body, a reflection of the larger rhythms of the cosmos. Feel the quiet, rational presence of your own mind, a spark of the universal intelligence. Let go of any resistance you may be holding to the natural flow of your life. Trust in the wisdom of the process. You are a part of nature, and in aligning yourself with its deep, rational, and benevolent order, you will find your truest home, your most profound peace. Let us now consider the Stoic perspective on the passage of time and the importance of living in the present moment. The human mind is a time-traveling machine. It can journey back into the past, replaying memories, reliving triumphs, and ruminating on regrets. And it can hurtle forward into the future, creating elaborate plans, indulging in hopeful fantasies, and generating anxious worries. While this ability can be useful, it can also be a source of immense suffering. When we are lost in the past or the future, we miss the only thing that is ever truly real, the present moment. The ancient philosophers understood this with great clarity. One of the great Roman sages wrote extensively on the shortness of life, not to induce despair, but to awaken us to the preciousness of the now. He argued that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. We are always preparing to live, but never actually living. We postpone our happiness, thinking that we will be content when some future condition is met. But the future is uncertain, and by the time it arrives, we are often already looking ahead to the next thing. The present moment is the only place where we can truly live, where we can act, where we can experience joy. The past is gone. It exists only as a memory in our minds. To dwell on it with regret is to inflict a needless wound upon ourselves. We can learn from the past, but we should not be imprisoned by it. The future is not yet here. It exists only as a projection of our thoughts. To worry about it is to suffer for something that has not happened and may never happen. The Stoic practice is to bring our full attention to the present moment. This is the essence of mindfulness. It is to be fully engaged with what we are doing right here, right now. When you are eating, just eat. Savor the flavors, the textures, the nourishment. When you are walking, just walk. Feel the sensation of your feet on the ground, the air on your skin, the sights and sounds around you. When you are with a loved one, be truly with them. Listen with your full attention. Be present with your heart. By anchoring ourselves in the present, we free ourselves from the burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future. We discover that in the simplicity of the now, there is a profound peace and a deep richness. This does not mean we should not plan for the future. A wise person is prudent and makes rational plans, but they do so without anxiety. They do their part in the present. They make the plan, they take the necessary steps, and then they let go of their attachment to the outcome. They know that the future is not in their control, but their present action is. They find their satisfaction in the virtuous effort of the now. The practice of focusing on the present is a powerful tool for resilience. When we are faced with a great challenge, the thought of enduring it for weeks or months or years can be overwhelming. But we only ever have to live through this single moment. Can you handle this present moment? The answer is almost always yes. By breaking down a great challenge into a series of present moments, it becomes manageable. We find the strength to endure, one breath at a time. Tonight, as you lie in bed, let go of the past. Let go of the future. Bring your attention to the simple, tangible reality of this present moment. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath. Feel the warmth of your blankets. Feel the quiet stillness of the room. This moment is your only true possession. It is a gift, and it is enough. In the serene sanctuary of the now, there is no worry, no regret. There is only peace. Rest in that peace. Throughout our journey into Stoic wisdom, we have seen how this ancient philosophy provides a comprehensive guide to living a life of virtue, resilience, and peace. Now, let us focus on a practice that is essential for both self-improvement and harmonious social living: the art of offering constructive criticism. In our relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, there will be times when we see a fault in another person, a behavior that is harmful to them or to others. Our natural impulse might be to either stay silent for fear of causing conflict, or to lash out with harsh, judgmental criticism. Neither of these approaches is virtuous or effective. The Stoic path is a middle way, to offer feedback with a combination of honesty, justice, and compassion. The goal of constructive criticism from a Stoic perspective is not to prove that we are right, to assert our superiority, or to punish the other person. The sole purpose is to be helpful, to assist the other person on their own path of growth and self-improvement. It is an act of true friendship and a fulfillment of our social duty. Before offering any criticism, we must first examine our own motives. Are we acting from a place of genuine care and a desire to help, or are we motivated by ego, by a desire to feel superior, or by our own frustration? A wise person ensures their intention is pure before they speak. If the intention is not to help, it is better to remain silent. The delivery of the criticism is just as important as the content. It should be done with kindness and respect. We should choose a private and appropriate time, not confronting the person in a moment of anger or in front of others. Our tone should be gentle and supportive, not accusatory or condescending. We are not a judge handing down a sentence. We are a friend offering a helping hand. It is also crucial to be specific and to focus on the behavior, not the person. Instead of saying, "You are lazy," which is a personal attack, we could say, "I have noticed that you have been struggling to meet your deadlines recently. I am concerned about you. Is there any way I can help?" This approach is less likely to make the other person defensive and more likely to open a space for a productive conversation. We must also be prepared for the other person's reaction. They may not be receptive to our feedback. They may become angry or defensive. We must remember the dichotomy of control. Their reaction is not within our control. Our duty is to offer the feedback with virtue and skill. The outcome is up to them. We must be willing to listen to their perspective with empathy and to engage in a respectful dialogue. Offering constructive criticism is a skill that requires the cultivation of all the Stoic virtues. It requires the wisdom to know when and how to speak. It requires the courage to have a difficult conversation It requires the justice to act with fairness and respect, and it requires the temperance to manage our own emotions during the process. Just as we must learn to offer criticism, we must also learn how to receive it. A wise person is open to feedback, even when it is difficult to hear. They listen without defensiveness, and they have the humility to acknowledge their own faults. They are grateful for a friend who has the courage and the care to help them see their blind spots. Tonight, as you rest, you might reflect on your own communication. How can you be more skillful in offering and receiving feedback? How can you make your relationships a space for mutual growth and support? Let go of any fear you may have of difficult conversations, and embrace the idea that honest, compassionate communication is a profound act of love and a cornerstone of a virtuous life. Let us now turn to a vital, yet often overlooked aspect of a well-lived life: the role of humor. At first glance, Stoicism, with its emphasis on reason, virtue, and enduring hardship, might seem like a somber and humorless philosophy. But this is a misconception. The ancient sages, in fact, had a sophisticated understanding of the power of humor as a tool for resilience, perspective, and even wisdom. They recognized that a life without laughter is an incomplete one. The Stoic use of humor is not about frivolous jesting or a cynical mockery of the world. It is a strategic and intelligent application of wit to navigate life's absurdities and to maintain a sense of balance. A wise Roman philosopher and satirist, who was also deeply influenced by Stoic thought, used humor to expose the follies and vices of his society. He understood that sometimes the most effective way to point out a truth is through a joke. Humor can be a powerful tool for gaining perspective. When we are caught up in a difficult or frustrating situation, it can seem all-consuming. But if we can find a way to laugh at ourselves, at the absurdity of the situation, we can instantly create a sense of distance. Laughter breaks the tension. It shifts our perspective and reminds us not to take ourselves or our problems too seriously. This is an application of the view from above in a more immediate terrestrial form. Think of a time when you were deeply embarrassed. In the moment, it may have felt like the end of the world. But looking back on it now, can you see the humor in it? Can you laugh at your own past self? This ability to laugh at our own imperfections and mistakes is a sign of profound self-acceptance and humility. It is the opposite of the fragile ego, which is easily wounded and must defend itself at all costs. The Stoics also used a form of self-deprecating humor to guard against pride and arrogance. A great teacher who was lame in one leg would often joke about his own physical limitations. By doing so, he disarmed potential mockery and demonstrated that his self-worth was not tied to his physical body. He was teaching, by example, the Stoic principle of indifference to external things. Humor can also be a powerful coping mechanism in the face of adversity. In the darkest of times, a shared moment of laughter can be a profound act of defiance. It is a declaration that even in the face of suffering, our spirit is not broken. It is a way of finding a flicker of light in the darkness, of affirming life even amidst pain. This does not mean we should make light of true tragedy or use humor to avoid dealing with difficult emotions. The Stoic is always a realist. But in the daily struggles and frustrations of life, a good sense of humor is an invaluable ally. It is a sign of a flexible and resilient mind. So, how can we cultivate a more Stoic sense of humor in our own lives? We can start by learning to laugh at ourselves. When we make a mistake, instead of berating ourselves, we can try to find the humor in it. We can practice looking for the absurdity in frustrating situations. We can surround ourselves with people who have a good, intelligent sense of humor. We can read witty authors and watch clever comedies. By doing so, we are not just seeking entertainment, we are training our minds to be more flexible, more resilient, and more joyful. Tonight, as you prepare for rest, you might recall a moment from your day that made you smile or laugh. Let that feeling of lightness fill you. Let go of any tendency to be overly serious or self-important. Remember that a good life is a balanced life, a life that has room for both profound contemplation and joyful laughter. In the wise and skillful use of humor, you will find a powerful tool for navigating the human condition with grace, perspective, and a light heart. The human mind is a storytelling machine. From the moment we wake up, we are narrating our lives to ourselves. We create stories about who we are, about what is happening to us, and about what it all means. These stories are incredibly powerful. They shape our perceptions, guide our emotions, and determine our actions. The ancient philosophers understood that to live a wise and tranquil life, we must become the conscious authors of our own narratives. We must learn to tell ourselves stories that are true, that are empowering, and that are aligned with our highest values. Many of the stories we tell ourselves are inherited and unexamined. They are the stories we learned from our family, our culture, our education. We may have a story that says, "I am not good enough," or "The world is a dangerous place," or "I need to be perfect to be loved." These stories, when believed without question, can become self-fulfilling prophecies. They limit our potential and create a great deal of unnecessary suffering. The Stoic practice of examining our judgments is, in essence, a practice of examining our stories. It is the art of becoming a critical reader of our own mind. When a distressing story arises, we can pause and ask ourselves, is this story really true? What is the evidence for it? And what is the evidence against it? Is there another, more empowering, more virtuous way to see this situation? For example, if you face a setback and the story that arises is, "I am a failure," you can challenge that narrative. You can choose to tell a different story. "I have encountered an obstacle. This is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to practice resilience. This does not define my worth." By consciously choosing your narrative, you are taking control of your inner world. You are no longer a passive victim of your own habitual thought patterns. You are the author of your own experience. The stories we tell ourselves about the past are particularly important. It is easy to get stuck in a narrative of regret, of resentment, of what might have been. The Stoic practice of amor fati is a powerful tool for rewriting our past. It is the choice to tell a story where everything that happened, even the painful parts, was necessary and valuable, a crucial chapter in the larger story of our growth and becoming. When we can look back on our lives with acceptance and even gratitude, we free ourselves from the heavy burden of the past. We must also be mindful of the stories we tell ourselves about the future. The mind often creates elaborate narratives of fear and catastrophe, a practice that one modern psychologist calls awfulizing. We imagine the worst-case scenario and then react as if it were already happening. The Stoic practice of premeditating on adversity is a way of consciously rewriting these fear-based narratives. It is the choice to tell a story where we face the future with courage, with wisdom, and with the confidence that we can handle whatever comes. Ultimately, the most important story we tell is the story of who we are. Are you the hero of your own life's journey? A hero is not someone who is perfect or who never faces challenges. A hero is someone who faces their challenges with courage, who strives to live with integrity, and who is dedicated to a purpose larger than themselves. You can choose to see yourself in this light. You can choose to tell a story of your life that is noble, that is meaningful, and that is inspiring. Tonight, as you drift off to sleep, become aware of the stories that have been playing in your mind today, and then gently let them go. In the quiet stillness, know that you have the power to write a new story tomorrow, a story of wisdom, a story of resilience, a story of joy. You are the author. The pen is in your hand. Write a beautiful story. As we approach the end of our deep dive into the Stoic art of living, let us consider the ultimate goal of this ancient practice, a state the philosophers called eudaimonia. This Greek word is often translated as happiness, but its meaning is far richer and more profound than our modern conception of that term. Eudaimonia is not a fleeting emotion or a life of an endless pleasure. It is a state of human flourishing, of living at our best, of being in harmony with our deepest nature. It is the ultimate good, the final destination of the Stoic path. Eudaimonia is a life of virtue. As we have seen, the Stoics believed that the only true good is an excellent character, cultivated through the practice of the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. A flourishing life is one where these virtues are not just abstract ideals, but are expressed in our every action, our every thought, our every word. It is a life of profound integrity, where there is no gap between who we are and what we do. Eudaimonia is a life of tranquility. This is not the tranquility of a life free from problems, but the inner peace that comes from a well-ordered mind. The Greek word for this state is apatheia, which does not mean apathy, but a state of being undisturbed by the passions. The flourishing individual is not tossed about by the waves of fear, anger, or desire. They have a calm, steady center, an inner citadel that remains serene even in the midst of external storms. This peace comes from focusing on what is within our control and accepting what is not. Eudaimonia is a life of purpose and meaning. The flourishing individual understands their duty as a rational, social being. They are a citizen of the cosmos, dedicated to playing their part in the larger whole. They find their fulfillment not in selfish pursuits, but in a life of service, of contributing to the common good. Their life has a noble purpose that transcends their own personal comfort or pleasure. Eudaimonia is a life of joy. This is not the fleeting, superficial pleasure that comes from external things. It is a deep, abiding joy that is the natural byproduct of a virtuous and tranquil life. It is the quiet satisfaction of a clear conscience, the fulfillment of personal growth, the warmth of deep and meaningful relationships. This joy is not dependent on circumstances. It is a steady, luminous light that shines from within. This state of eudaimonia is not a mythical, unattainable ideal. The ancient philosophers believed that it is the natural state of a human being who is living in accordance with their true nature. It is our birthright. The path to it is not easy. It requires a lifelong commitment to self-examination, to discipline, to the practice of the philosophical arts. But it is a path that is open to every one of us. It does not depend on our wealth, our status, or our good fortune. It depends only on the quality of our own will, our own choices. This is the ultimate empowering message of Stoicism. Your happiness, your fulfillment, your flourishing is entirely in your own hands. You are the architect of your own soul. You have the power to build a life of profound beauty, meaning, and peace. Tonight, as you rest, let this vision of eudaimonia be your inspiration. Let it be the North Star that guides your journey. Do not be discouraged by how far you may have to go. The path is walked one step at a time. Every small choice for virtue, for reason, for tranquility is a step in the right direction. Every day is an opportunity to build a more beautiful inner world. Rest now in the powerful and hopeful vision of your own human flourishing. Your potential is immense. Your true nature is peace. Eudaimonia is your destiny. As we conclude our journey through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, let us take a moment to gather the threads of what we have learned. We have explored a philosophy that is not a dry, academic discipline, but a practical, life-altering art. It is a guide to navigating the human condition with resilience, integrity, and a profound and unshakable peace. We began with the foundational principle, the dichotomy of control, learning to distinguish between what is ours to command and what is not. In this single distinction, we found the key to liberating ourselves from a world of unnecessary anxiety and frustration. We learned to focus our energy on our inner world, our judgments, our choices, our character, the only realm where we have true power. We then delved into the heart of the Stoic path, the cultivation of the 4 cardinal virtues. We saw how wisdom guides our reason, how courage fortifies our spirit, how justice shapes our interactions with others, and how temperance masters our inner impulses. These virtues are not just lofty ideals, but the very building blocks of a good and happy life, a life of true inner wealth. We confronted the great realities of human existence, impermanence and mortality, not with fear, but with a clear-eyed acceptance. Through practices like memento mori and amor fati, we learned to use the awareness of death to live more fully and to embrace every moment of our fate as a necessary and beautiful part of our unique journey. We learned the power of perspective, to see our lives from the view from above, cultivating humility and a sense of our place in the vast, interconnected cosmos. We explored the architecture of a well-lived day, with the morning and evening rituals providing a structure for intention and reflection. We discovered the Stoic secrets to navigating our complex emotional and social worlds. We learned to observe our emotions without being enslaved by them, to master anger, to overcome envy, and to navigate grief with dignity. We understood the importance of authentic, virtuous friendships and our duty to be good citizens of the world. We touched upon the wisdom of simplicity, the freedom of patience, the power of humor, and the profound importance of being a friend to ourselves. We have seen that the Stoic path is a holistic one, a comprehensive guide to flourishing in every aspect of our lives. It is a path of strength, of peace, of joy. It is the path to eudaimonia. But our journey together tonight is just the beginning. The true value of these teachings is not in the listening, but in the living. The ancient sages did not just talk about philosophy, they practiced it every day in the gymnasium of their own lives. This is now your task, your opportunity. Take these lessons with you. Let them seep into your consciousness. Let them inform your choices tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Start small. Choose one principle that resonates with you and make it your focus. Be patient with yourself. The cultivation of character is the work of a lifetime. The path of the Stoic is not for the faint of heart. It requires discipline, courage, and a relentless commitment to the truth. But it is a path that leads to the greatest treasure a human being can possess, a free and tranquil mind, a soul at peace with itself and with the world. a life of profound and enduring meaning. Tonight, as you drift into a deep and restorative sleep, know that you have embarked on a noble journey. You have within you a spark of the universal reason, a capacity for incredible resilience, and the power to craft a life of virtue and joy. You are the sailor of your own ship, the sculptor of your own soul, the hero of your own story. Rest now. Rest in the quiet strength you have begun to cultivate, and awaken tomorrow, ready to live.